Well, guys, welcome once again to another Wednesday night here at the Sports Crib. Uh, we have Demetrius here tonight, so all of you critics and naysayers, I want to see all you guys come on tonight. Now,
Come on, I'm here. I got my shirt on and everything. I don't run. I ain't
see,
scared.
he got a fresh pair of black socks.
Exactly.
He's ready.
Absolutely.
And Bo, how you doing?
Excellent. Always good to be here.
Good to see you, Bo.
Bo's been gone a couple of weeks also. Gentlemen, there's a couple of things that I'm going to talk about that were kind of off of the list that we shared because the latest news came down that Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely due to his hammer fist the other night. So I just wanted, kind of get everybody's take on, did they do enough? Did they wait too long? Draymond has always, had that reputation, and he's lived up to it. He's always got his money's worth. This time, I don't know because that's a lot of money, indefinite suspension. But Demetrius, what was your take? I don't know if you saw the game or not, but I'm sure that everybody's seen the clip at least.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the suspension? About Draymond? What should be done? So forth.
So, in the spirit of full disclosure, Draymond Green grew up 30 minutes from my hometown. He grew up in Saginaw. I grew up in Flint. He also attended Michigan State University, and we all know I bleed green and white. All that being said, there is a pattern, right? You establish who you are. I think it was Dr. Maya Angelou, right? Everybody quotes that. Somebody shows you who they are, believe them. This is who he is. Now, so if the goal is punitive, I believe professional athletes, and Bo is in a much better position to tell you than I am, what they cherish most is playing the game. Like when you get to a certain amount of money, the money's not going to hurt. They can fine him all kinds of money, take him off the court, because then he doesn't get to play the game he proposed to love, and he knows he's hurting his team by not being out there because of some dumb stuff he did. He's hurting his team. So if your goal is to punish him, that's how you do it. Games, whether he's paid or not. I mean, he shouldn't get paid. I think you should suspend him the rest of the season. You have to do something emphatic. If your goal is to change his behavior, you're wasting all of our time because you're not going to do that. There's only a few people at my age and our age. I'm slightly younger, Mr. King, but there's 2 people in my life that can get me to change my behavior. Probably my son, maybe. My sister, probably. Right? There's a few people, maybe a couple more. We're not going to change who this dude is. So if you're going to let him play in your league, he's going to do this stuff because he's always done this. And it's going to suspend him for the rest of the season. Maybe he thinks about his behavior. If you just want to punish him, yeah, it's game. So I think either way, he has to miss a lot of time. Because you're just tired of it. And he sits and makes an excuse. Oh, I was trying to, you were trying to punch that man in the face. We all saw it. and you were successful. So I hope I answered the question. If the goal is to punish him, take a bunch of money out of his pocket, but take games out, right? Don't let him play. And if you're trying to change his behavior, I don't think you can do it. I don't think Joe Dumars, you know why I love Joe Dumars. He can't do it. He doesn't care enough about that.
Now, Bo, what's your take on it? Because, as the NBA has said that he has to have mandatory counseling. Now,
I mean, he's needed that for a long time.
Well, see, here's the thing, about that. Mandatory counseling. I've been through mandatory counseling.
Well, it's not going to help.
And that's just what it was. It was mandatory. I went because I had to.
Exactly.
I think you're going to say whatever gets you back on the court.
Yeah, I had no desire to change.
Yeah.
It was mandatory.
Mandatory council.
I had to participate. So, what's your take here, Bo?
Yeah, I mean, mandatory counseling. Like the dude needs counseling. Like there's no debating that.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, unless he wants to change, no change is going to happen. Like he'll get in there, he'll go through the motions, he'll say the things they want to hear so he can get back out there. But no change is going to happen unless he wants to change. So I don't really foresee that being helpful. You knew he was getting suspended, right? As soon as you saw that, you're like, oh yeah, he's going to be gone for a while. Yeah. Because it's not like a spin move where it was his inside arm of the rotation. You catch him with an elbow or something. You can explain that away. You can be like, oh, I was just trying to make a basketball move and whatever.
Basketball move, yeah.
It was his outside arm going all the way around and clubbed this dude. So unless he was trying to do the sprinkler, like, there's just no way you can explain that. So it makes absolutely no sense. He's going to be gone. He's going to be gone for quite a while. Through the rest of the season, I mean, you're not wrong. Like that would probably be the best way to get your point across. I don't think it'll be that long. It'll probably be one of those like 20-game suspension type things. And they'll take a bunch of money, right? Will he learn anything from it? No, because this is who he is. It's who he's been his whole career. At the end of the day, what he is he's the NBA's version of an enforcer in the NHL, right? Exactly. Like he goes out and bodies people up. It's not like he scores. It's not like he does any of the other things particularly well. He beats on you. He uses his fouls and he gets some rebounds, facilitates the ball. He's a goon when it comes to the NHL, right? Like he's that guy that goes and busts people up against the boards. So you're not going to change who he is. You're certainly not going to change the type of player he is this late in his career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Now, since neither of you were here last week, another subject we touched on was this playoff situation. And we had Jeffrey Fan on, and you can imagine, talking ACC sports, was a little upset about the way things turned out. So, Demetrius, we get Alabama. Of course, we get them because they beat Georgia. Yep. We get Texas.
Because you took Alabama.
and you have to say it's basically because they beat Alabama.
They're a package deal. You had no choice.
You painted yourself in a corner.
You did. Yep.
But you had this undefeated team out here. And I dare say maybe 10 years ago, the situation might have been reversed because of the prestige that the conference had back at that time as compared to what it is now. But let's take it as it is.
I'm putting on my black sock. Keep talking. Go ahead. Putting on a second pair of black socks so I can talk some sense to everybody. Go ahead.
But, taking it as it is, Florida State, undefeated, ends up on the outside looking in. So that's the political argument. Okay. But let's talk about what happened on the field, because I thought that's where the game was supposed to be decided. But what do I know?
That's the wrong division. Every other level of football, that's how that works. In Division I, it's just kind of, hey, I've watched football for a while. I'm going to vote for this team.
So I think
you said you put on both pair of black socks.
I did. I got on two pair now. So I don't want to hear any of that whining. I don't want to hear that bullshit because this is what you said you wanted. This is what you guys said you wanted. So now you need to sit down, young man, and accept that the television networks run your game, right? Yep. So now when they're in there, to me, the meeting was 45 seconds long. This is how that committee meeting went. Hey, everybody, good? Everybody get cool. Okay, Michigan and Washington are in. Undefeated, Power 5. Boom, first two are done.
Yep.
Hey, Alabama beat Georgia. And, they're Alabama. Yeah, we're taking Alabama. Okay, we got to take Texas. Why? Because one loss Texas gave the team we just took their one loss.
Exactly.
Alabama's loss was to Texas. Okay, so we get it, right? Oh, wait, the chair recognizes the gentleman from Tallahassee. Hey, we're undefeated. Hey, the chair recognizes the TV networks. Sit down and shut up. Nobody wants to see Florida State, Michigan. Everybody wants to see Michigan, Alabama. And in a perfect world, they get to see Alabama, Texas in the title game. Now, everybody except the contingent from Tallahassee who's sitting there like this. Everybody else like, yep, good meeting. Let's go. That thing took less than a minute. It ain't even that hard, right? On the field, we can't ignore their quarterback being hurt. They're not the same team. So I would even have the on the field argument with you if their quarterback wasn't hurt. But the reality is, guys, this is NIL, this is transfer portal. It's a new game. That's what y'all said y'all wanted. And it's like me when I told my mom I wanted different cookies and I wanted Chips Ahoy instead of Oreos. So when everybody else voted for Oreos, she said, "Shut up and eat the Oreos. I ain't buying two cookies.
Yeah,
you eat what everybody else get to eat." So guess what, Florida State? You don't get to bitch about Chips Ahoy's now, like when you've been cutting those Oreo checks to these players and these NIL deals, right? This is what it is. And if I ask 1,000 people not from Tallahassee, Florida, would you rather watch Michigan, Alabama, or Michigan, Florida State? Which game do you want to see? Which championship game do you want to see? Michigan, Texas, or Alabama, Texas? Not to discount Washington, but that meeting was 45 seconds long. And Bill Carroll was probably in the meeting over there saying, you got to, right, Texas and Alabama are hooked at the ankle.
Oh, yeah.
You were painted. If you take Alabama, you have to take Texas. It was easy, guys.
No, that had to happen. You knew that.
I didn't know what the fuss was about. You knew you were taking Michigan and Washington. And the minute Alabama beat Georgia, you had to take Alabama because, say it with me, they're Ala F and Bama.
Exactly.
And when you were taking Alabama, you had to take Texas. And you let the people from Tallahassee cry. Now, oh, by the way, go get the big fat New Year's 6 check. And by the way, have the best game against Georgia. That might end up being a great game, right? Yeah. So go impress everybody, beat Georgia by 20, and claim a Central Florida fake national title if you want to. But when you allowed NIL, and when you went with transfer portal, you fundamentally changed this game. And the TV networks. If you don't think TV network reps were in that room, they're lying to you. They crafted a story about the quarterback getting hurt, whatever. That was a 45-second meeting. I don't even know what all the hubbub is about. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on all of that. You just feel bad for the FSU kids because, like, when it comes to every other level of football, you're going to be in the playoffs, right? Because every other version of football has actual playoffs.
Sure. But I almost think though there's a degree of if you go beat Georgia, screw them. You can always say, look, we got screwed. And you can hold on to that if you want to, right? You can say we went undefeated, we beat Georgia, and the system screwed us. And there's something in that. I don't feel bad for all those kids, not the ones with the 6-figure NIL checks. I don't feel bad for them at all. I worked hard the last month to earn a fraction of that. No, I don't. I'm bitter. I got on 2 pairs of black socks today. Mr. Carroll, how you doing, my friend?
You're gonna have entire socks on.
I'm so happy. I am so happy. I'm so excited. This is a special day for all of us. For those who do not have the pleasure, the distinct honor of being here when my man Demetrius is here, this is going to be the best show ever. Sorry, Don, and all the other suckers didn't make it. This is going to be so good.
You see why this is my guy, right?
I feel
this is why this is my guy, right? I ain't stopping him. Keep going.
Oh my gosh!
We can do 3 hours. James don't care about doing 3 hours.
Shohei Ohtani. I was thinking like, when the Ohtani deal came, I was like, where's this?
I was like, I know. I couldn't
wait a minute. Hold on, wait. Bo, will you finish?
I stole all the thunder on the Florida State.
No, I'm good. No, I mean, I actually agreed with all of it. I just kind of felt bad because literally in every other version of football, you can earn your way in, and that's just not D1, right? It's votes and TV ratings. So it is what it is. It's what they wanted. It's what they created. Hopefully this really cements the fact that the 12-game playoff has to work.
how can you be surprised when TCU made it last year?
Right.
What's the
Yeah,
difference? I mean, hey, it's just a pessimist in me. I'm sorry. But
I actually think the right 4 teams are there, though. Sorry, I do. I think they're the right 4.
I'm not mad about the matchups, but I probably
I will. I will put it this way: the best 4.
The best.
The right 4, maybe not. The best.
Well, if the
4
quarterback's not
definitely.
hurt, I might have a different opinion, but I don't know if Florida State fielding the team without the starting quarterback. I think that's important to note, right? We can't ignore that.
I'm agreeing.
Hey, Tommy DeVito just won the game last week.
Yeah. And Tommy DeVito was absolutely.
Tommy DeVito was electric.
But those who saw Rutgers and Syracuse and University of Illinois, Tommy DeVito, I guess he wanted to keep the color scheme the same. But the Illinois Syracuse Tommy DeVito was a guy that you looked and thought, this guy is going to really have some great stories to tell about how he played college football one day. Yeah. And I will give all the credit in the world, one, to Brian Daboll, who could truly turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. But
we're going to talk about Tommy a little later down the line. But
he's right now early. We went sow's ear to silk purse. 17 minutes into this thing. I love it. I'm so happy to be back. Let's go.
We're going to talk about Ohtani's contract here. I've been throwing out baseball questions for the last 3 weeks trying to get you to meet you.
He really has, like a man desperately throwing more and more bait onto his hook and then tossing it into the river.
So let's talk about this contract, because Bill, as you know, we always laughingly talk about the Bonilla contract, right?
Yeah.
So now. There was something today that kind of was, I guess it wasn't told exactly with the first story, and that he has the opportunity to opt out of his contract if certain executives are fired. Mm-hmm. Now, to me, that was kind of a first. I've never heard of that in baseball, but the other. Where he went to the Dodgers. The Giants said that they offered him the same contract, but he went to the Dodgers. And $700 million. And he gets $2 million a year for, was it 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
And the rest, which would be $680 million, is deferred.
I love how you said that.
I mean, that's a Powerball win.
James had anger in his voice when he said $680.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like you, Demetrius. I earned a fraction of that this year. You understand? No, not even a fraction. I didn't, not even enough to pay taxes on it, But so I'm going to start. I don't know whether you have your black socks on or whether you took them off or not, but it's a baseball question. So, do you think that more players are going to start taking advantage of a clause like this, especially when, this is $700 million, but there are players that are making $400 million. 500 million. This is all generational money to me,
right?
So what's your thoughts? Should more do this, and do you think that more teams will let a player dictate? His executives.
Well, there's a lot wrong with it, right? The executive clause. What's hard though? You don't got to opt out because there's 680 on the back end. I don't know how all that works out, but realistically, the thing is, and I'm about to go straight, old man. This is bullshit is what this is. I know it's not 9 o'clock yet. I care about competitive balance. You know me. I want the Detroit Tigers to have a chance. If you got the Dodgers out here doing this and players, there's a benefit to doing it. So the agent gets to come out and tell everybody he's got the biggest contract in history when this is really what in my world we would call an organizational annuity. they're just banking that money to pay him later. Current value of the contract, quiet as it's kept, is only $460 million, right? But because of the way you value dollars and years, they can extrapolate that out. So it's a whole weird math finance problem that Bill will probably explain better to me. But for me, he can do it because he's got over $40 million in endorsements. So he's going to clear nearly 50 large a year anyway, even though he's only making $2 million because of his endorsements. So the first point is everybody can't do this. So you're not going to see this rash of dudes doing it because everybody can't afford to do it like Shohei. The Bonilla is the most famous one, and it's mocked and laughed at because it's crazy, right? I think it's crazy, but I think the union should probably step in. And I don't think it'll be hard because the bulk of the due-paying members of that union will be like, no, I'm gonna need my money now. My wife is not trying to figure out our vacation 10 years from now. She's trying to get to, Tahiti tomorrow. I don't think it's in the best interest of most players. I don't think most players have the financial wherewithal that Shohei has, who can do it. And I think it will destroy any figment of competitive balance, which really doesn't exist anyway. It doesn't exist in baseball anyway.
Not in baseball. Yeah.
This puts a nail in any type of competitive balance coffin. So my double black sock short answer is right. I hate this. And Bill, I need you to make some calls to some of the people you know, because I need this shit to stop. Because the Illich family makes a lot of pizzas. We cannot do this. We cannot do this. So I need somebody to do something. I hope the union negotiates a clause in the agreement that at minimum restricts this, because I think they got 3 players on one of these crazy deals. Mookie's on one of these deals, and Freddie Freeman, maybe somebody else is on one of these deals. You can't have one team doing this, and obviously for the organization, it's great. The Dodgers will be worth a lot more in 10 years, so that money will be easier to pay. But this destroys competitive balance. That's all I care about. I'm trying to find a way for the Tigers to win a World Series, and this ain't helping.
I mean, competitive balance in Major League Baseball is kind of an illusion anyway.
It's Kaiser Sosa. It's totally Kaiser Sosa. Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, obviously. But it basically means you are going to be really bad in about 10 years. Right? Because you have all these contracts that now you're going to have to try and pay out. And I get there's not a salary cap, but I mean, that still kind of has to hurt to send those out. Plus they got to pay the luxury tax kind of thing. That's going to be interesting to see once this contract ends, how that affects the Dodgers, or maybe the ownership group is thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe we're going to sell it just before then and just completely shaft the next group coming in. But
yeah, I think they spread the taxes out though. I don't think the taxes get bigger. I think they got to pay $460 million divided by 10. So I think they got to pay $46 million a year right now. The tax doesn't get deferred. So, but I still think that's a couple of big checks you got to pay out later.
Yeah, so I thought they were doing this because it allows them to avoid the luxury tax, is what I was reading.
No, I think the tax is called the competitive balance tax.
Okay.
And yeah, they peanut butter spread out that over the life of the contract based on the current value. So the reason it helps them is they only pay 46 instead of 70.
Right.
That's how it helps the Dodgers. They pay $46 million a year over 10 years instead of $70 million a year over 10 years. So there's a benefit to the Dodgers as the competitive balance tax works too.
I got you. I mean, then there's the other end of this, right? Like, you don't know if he's ever going to pitch again, but even if even say he does, right? He's going to be an effective starter for what, maybe after 2 elbow surgeries, probably maybe 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Maximum 5. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say a reliever for 2 more. Right.
Yep.
And then from there, he's a DH. Right. So you're paying $700 million for a DH and a possible pitcher, but we don't even know if he's going to be able to pitch at all. So $700 million for a DH is absolutely insane to me. And then you don't even really start paying for it until his career's over. It's nuts. Absolutely.
The back end of that thing is crazy. It's going to make Bonilla seem like a joke. The back end of that thing is really crazy.
Oh, yeah. 20 years from now, I'll still be talking about it with you guys.
Yep.
21 years I might be gone. 20 years I'll be
20
here.
years from now, we're doing a podcast on this
Oh,
contract.
no doubt.
Bill paying Shohei.
Hey, as long as I can do that, yeah, we're good.
And Bill will be scouting Shohei Jr., talking about him in double-A ball, playing in Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Go ahead, Bill. That's a good introduction. Go ahead.
It's a beautiful, excellent introduction. And I'm seeing like so many sons of people like Chris Jenkins' son. I'm seeing like so many sons. But getting back to what was just said. So the myth of competitive balance in baseball has been dealt a serious blow. And I agree that the only way this changes even a little is that eventually the players, the Players Association says no more than X amount can be deferred more than X number of years.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's essentially what has to happen at some point is that, 49.999% or whatever they decide on is the maximum amount you're allowed to defer. And it can't be deferred more than, X number of years, no more than 10 or no more than whatever years in the future, whatever they end up capping it at. But there will always be a way, right? They're making new MBAs, they're making new lawyers, they're making new people who will figure out ways to skirt. What's the old saying? The criminals are always 10 years ahead of the lawyers. I mean, the law. So they'll always figure out some way to sort of skirt some of these things. Okay, so in order, if I were them, I would toss him in the bullpen right away. Like, don't even mess around with this starter thing anymore. It's pretty clear to me that he's not built for that. He's not built to start. He use him in high leverage situations, 7th innings, 8th innings, whatever it is, and you need somebody to come in and drop the hammer. And then he hits a bomb right after that, right? Double switch, baby, boom. Wait, is the universal DH a thing now? Is that because you said DH? Wait, is it actually? That's right.
Yeah,
It is. Okay.
National League, yes.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so universal DH. Finally, it makes sense to have one set of rules. So you are getting a guy who conceivably could play a little first, can play a little, corner outfield in a pinch, but has been stated you're getting a guy who is an athletic DH. Well, things you don't hear said very often, with the ability to pitch in a pinch. $700 million feels a little heavy to me for that, but I mean, what do I know?
Heavy if you were carrying it in a couple of duffel bags, that's for sure. Or rolling it in giant suitcases, I guess would be the case.
I mean, even if he literally turns out to be a combination of like John Smoltz and Henry Aaron, like somehow ends up being both of those, it still feels like it might be a little much, but hey, it's a new world and inflation, I guess. So
yeah. Is that how inflation works?
That sounds
good. You know what it does mean?
Wow.
You know what this does mean is if you translated Babe Ruth to today, he'd sign for $1 billion right now.
Easy. Yep. And they'd be lined up to get him.
So Demetrius, do the math.
Mm-hmm.
In 30 years, what's $680 million worth in today's money?
I think it's what is the value of this contract worth now? It's $460. Yeah. Right. Or are you saying what would it be? I think that's how they did it. They projected out the future value and they came up with the 700. And it's probably accurate using today's economic scale. The value right now is $460 million, which is still a boatload of money for Bill to carry around in a duffel bag. So it's still very, very heavy, as I think the point Bill was making. Heavy metaphorically and heavy literally. It's a lot of money. And I think he's right. I don't want to gloss over what Bill said because it's huge. He's not built. He's not built for it. So they should just bite the bullet and make the change now and get more value out of him. To me, his value is at the plate. I think you're messing around with one of the greatest hitters of all time by putting his ass on the mound. I would not have him start. I wouldn't certainly roll him out every 5 days. If there's a big game and it's time and you just need 3 outs to stifle a run or lock down an important game, that's what I do. I wouldn't have him out there pit off days and getting in work the 3rd day. No, work your ass at the plate. That's where you work. Yeah, I think Bill's right. And we'll be having a podcast in probably a year and a half about some ligament in his arm torn and how he can't swing the bat. And I'm gonna be putting on 3 pairs of black socks. Going, damn it, Bill. Bill told you this in December.
We tried to tell you.
Right. Why didn't they listen?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, in fact, if they were going to do it in a smart way, you make that move, you get a full complement of pitching and bullpen because you already got a roster spot for a DH. So you actually get to carry an extra pitcher for no reason. And yeah, to your point, you roll him out there when you need him. But yeah, you don't try and kill him.
I mean, I hope they think that.
Make it through the contract.
There's such different things that you're asking the human body to do. To be a full-time starting pitcher, there is very specific and regimented things that guy needs to do, even on his off days. And to be a world-class hitter, it is a different set of muscles. It's totally different. To ask one human being to be great at both, you can do it for a short period. The human body's not built like, nobody is built like that, not even him. So I think if they would listen to this podcast and go, wait, we should hire Bill Carroll and pay him $680 million. or I'm sorry, $68 maybe? Whatever the number is. $680. Just give us decent advice.
If it comes from this show, I get a finder's fee.
There we go. There we go.
And I'm not mad. See, I don't need much. I just need,
Hey, all I know is if they sign you for the $680 million to come advise, I'm going to come hang out on your yacht. I'm just saying.
Hang out. There's a Demetrius wing on that yacht. I'm living on that. Sucker. Hi, Mrs. Carroll. I left you some pancakes in the kitchen.
There you go.
I'm living in the corner.
Let's talk another quick subject here in college football. The Heisman Trophy. Sadly, on this show, I don't think anyone picked Jalen Daniels to win the trophy. Everyone picked Mike Pennick Jr.
Wow.
So, as we know, Jalen Daniels won the Heisman. But where do you think that he's going to be drafted? We've heard about Caleb Williams going number 1. Now we're hearing about the kid.
Drake May.
Yeah, going number 1. So what's your take on this guy here? Where is he going to end up? Bill?
I mean, a lot of that will be dependent upon what happens to him from this point forward in the postseason pre-draft process. Right as of now, he's right on that bubble between the late first and early second. But he could push himself higher or he could push himself lower. There's things that he's about to live life under a microscope in a way that only presidential candidates can really relate to. They're going to talk to his 3rd grade math teacher, the person that coached him when he was 9 in basketball. They're going to talk to his teammates, his opponents, the person who brought in Gatorade, the person who taped his ankles, the person who,
that sounds like my defense attorney, Bill.
That's what I'm telling you. He is about to be inspected, detected, and injected in so many different ways over the next several months. So,
ouch.
A lot is going to happen in his life. And if they find one thing they don't like, it's a little scratch, it's a dent. They find 2 things they don't like, They find 3 things, and that's how, when you're watching the draft, like, how is he still on the board? That's how that happens. So if there's one little thing, like Baker Mayfield getting tackled by that cop, right? That was one thing. They didn't find a second thing, so he was okay. They find 2 things. Right. So but here's what I'm going to tell you. He's an extremely high character young man. He is a very good athlete. His arm is not a cannon, but it's strong enough. His build, a little worrisome. He's going to have to win the weigh-in when he gets to the combine or his pro day or both. The number, the over-under, whatever, if he can get to 212 and up, it's a win. Anything below 210 is a loss. Anything below 205 is a big loss. Anything below 200, he cost himself millions of dollars. Is it right? Is it fair? That's a whole other discussion. He needs to. That's one thing he needs to do. He needs to show a really live arm. He needs to look good on the board. He's played in a lot of offenses that ask him to do these things. He helps with protections, but he doesn't call the protections. He's doing an MOF or MOC call, right? He can tell if he knows there's basically one or two things he can do. If it's midfield close, you go with this. Midfield open, you go with that. He knows if it's zone versus man. He can get out of a play based on that, and a box count, right? If we don't like the box count, it goes from a run to a pass or vice versa.
Yeah.
But he's not doing all the things that NFL quarterbacks do at the line of scrimmage. But guess what? Nobody else is. Like, that's
right.
The days of somebody running the offense that they used to have at Stanford, the Bill Walsh days or the Norm Chow days at USC. Nobody is. Nobody's running those offenses. That's gone. So when you hear the term pro style, what they mean is that's a team that still has fullbacks and tight ends. That's what they mean. Even Iowa's offense isn't pro style, people. Stop calling it that. It's basically just a power gap scheme, run heavy spread. Everybody's running some version of spread. Even the triple option teams have gone shotgun, spread bone, I guess, whatever you want to call it, right? So, maybe time to trademark that. But the point I'm making is that
videos named that.
Right. The point I'm making is that pro style is dead, and people should stop using it to describe what anybody's doing in college now. So it's not a knock so much as it's just a fact. Nobody's doing it. So he's going to have to show he can understand pro style passing concepts and calling protections for him for real on his own. If he can show those things, and I'm sure he's working at it furiously with whoever his team is on the brain side, he'll be fine on that. Like I said, the things. If he can show he understands the concepts and he'll pick them up quickly, they're going to give you, hey, here's 3 plays, and then give them back to me and explain why we do what we do, right? That's what everybody does. Throw it on the board and say, here's 2 run plays and a pass, or 2 pass plays and a run, whatever. And then I'm going to teach it to you and you teach it back to me, right? He has to show he can do that and not, stumble around or look lost. Once again, eat and lift and eat, young man. And then,
exactly. Eat and lift.
Yep.
Right. And then, once again, show a live arm. I think his arm is more than adequate, but if he can. Oh, here we go. It's official.
Ranger Hayden showed up, and all of a sudden we're in.
Don is here.
Don is here.
Don is here.
But yeah, those are the things that scouts want to see.
Yeah.
Now, and Bo, I'm going to get real racist here because,
nice.
Warn me too.
Here we go.
coming out of high school, how much were you under a microscope as that fast white boy in the hood?
Oh yeah, exactly. He knows what this is like.
So I wasn't because I was not a good student because I didn't care.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I love the honesty. I do.
Yeah. So that's why I took the path I did, is because I was not a good student and I didn't care. And I mostly kind of didn't show up very often. So
I saw those UT Don Hayes pictures in his house. And I'm thinking Don Hayes put up what, 4.45, 4.6?
Well, yeah, so fortunately I didn't have a lot of scrutiny on my end. That's where the speed is actually the only reason I even had a chance.
Yeah. I think Bill makes a point. There's a whole bunch of things between now and then. I'm just kind of jumping in that are going to matter. But I also think there's a bunch of variables he can't control. We don't even know how the draft's going to lay out, right? Do the Bears keep one? Do they move out because they're locked in the fields? Do they move fields and draft at one? And then you look at the teams that need quarterbacks. I feel like Arizona's in the conversation. I feel like you can say New England. You don't think Arizona is going to – Don shook his head. I think New England might need a quarterback. I think Atlanta's in the conversation. Maybe Chicago, maybe Tampa, Minnesota. There's teams out there. So a lot of it's who. But sort of for the question, I think he handles the offseason part well. The question, Don, is where do we see Jaden Daniels going in the draft? Because that's what we're talking about. I think that it depends on how many teams decide to draft a quarterback. I could see him being in the first. I think Caleb and Drake may go top 10. I think JJ McCarthy might go top 10. I hate to say that, but he might. And then I think it depends on who else is picking a quarterback that he could go. I think he's going to go in the first, top 20-ish maybe. And somebody might fall in love with him. But Bill's point is huge. He comes in at 218, right? And demonstrates an ability. He might be top 10. Might be 4 of them in the top 10. That part's totally on him. Where he goes depends on trades and things that fall in the draft. But I think there's enough quarterback need that 4 guys could go in the first round.
Right.
Whether
So
he goes,
what you're saying is he should come in about 215 so that he can get on a good team.
right. There we go. Right. But I think my feeling is 4 teams in the top 10 are drafting quarterbacks.
Right.
And I think the question just really, if he comes in at 218, 220, he's one of those guys. Because all due respect to your namesake, I think Mr. Nix might not be one. I think he might be the 5th guy, but I think that might be in the 2nd round.
Oh,
I think Daniels can sneak into the first, in my opinion.
Yeah, Bo Nix,
yeah, he's probably.
I mean, do you give him old age pension or do you draft him? I mean, yeah.
Now,
has he been in college 12 years, Bo?
I think only 7.
What's that?
I thought
How many years in college has Bo Nix been in college?
Oh, all of them.
It feels like 12. Yeah, exactly. It feels like 12.
But yeah, no, I mean, when you look at Nix, he's probably a mid-second round pick, mid to upper second round. Penix will probably be kind of a later first. And I mean, Daniels, I figure is going to be somewhere in that first round just because most Heisman Trophy winners kind of end up in there, right? That trophy carries some weight, even if it doesn't translate to wins in the league. You know, it definitely helps your draft pick order. So unless they find something just crazy, which, I mean, you never know. he might have some skeletons we're not aware of, but
long mask kind of stuff. You mean?
Don, what's your take on this kid that just won the Heisman?
I don't think we have Don.
No, he's there.
Here he comes. He's coming. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, maybe.
Oh, maybe not.
Can you hear us, Don?
He's interested. He's interested in what we're saying. He cares about this topic.
Or concerned. Interested or concerned.
Yes. All right, give me concerned.
Okay. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
everything's choppy.
Okay.
On my end.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was your take on Jalen Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy, and where do you think he'll go?
Can we repeat the question?
Where do you think that Jalen Daniels will go in the draft?
I'm going to say mid-second round.
Okay.
That'd be my guess. I think Caleb Williams probably goes before him, and maybe Penix. If Penix decides to go in the draft.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Has he declared officially or no?
Well, I think he has to. I think that was his last year of eligibility anyway.
Oh, really? I was under the impression he had another year. Okay. I think. Yeah.
Where are you located? Where are you located? Because the delay is hilarious. It's like it's got to bounce off the satellite and hit Antarctica.
He's in San Antonio.
San Antonio, Texas. Yeah.
Oh, same.
Right. It is bouncing off the satellite. I will tell you, whatever's happened to the satellite, he's got the most awesome man cave you'll ever see.
He does.
Don Hayes' man cave is legendary. You need 2 hours to go through all the stuff, and it's worth every minute.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I see a smile. You heard that. See?
Yeah. He probably did. I don't think we're gonna get him back. I think we can probably when we get to the NFL and you start talking about Cowboys or something, he might jump back in. No, I want no Spurs and no Pistons talk on this podcast. I know that. Neither one of us want that. So.
Well, the Spurs maybe. The young rookie is doing very well despite their record. So he's doing well now.
Move on to the NFL. NFL talk. Let's go.
As you see, I didn't put anything on there.
And I appreciate it.
Okay.
I appreciate it, my man.
But we still have to talk about Detroit.
Yes,
we still have to talk about the Lions.
Mm-hmm. Always.
Yeah. So let's get started on our NFL and see if we can get Don back in and so forth. So, Demetrius, we're going to start off right away here. The Bears turned the Lions into kittens with a 28-13 beatdown. The Bears' last 2 victories have come against their division opponents. Do you think that Eberflus will keep his job? And are the Bears the spoilers or just the basement dwellers? Both.
Bo can go first. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Bears better hope that doesn't save his job. And then from there, I mean, they can kind of do both, right? They're going to be the basement dwellers, but they can trip up some wild card teams that are trying to sneak in there. So they can kind of play spoiler, but just, also understand what they are. They have some work to do to be a good team. And I think the coaching is probably one of the things that has to change.
Go ahead, Demetrius.
Yeah, I think don't get fooled by the win over the Lions. Like I was saying pre-show, we have a turnover problem right now. In the NFL, there's no great team. There's a lot of parity. Paul Tagliabue and Pete Rozelle are somewhere having a cocktail party right now because this is as much parity as we've seen in this league in a while. And on a given day, it's not even any given Sunday. It's any given time you turn the ball over 3 times. Anybody in this league can beat you if you give up the ball 3 times. And I not to make this about the Lions. There are times when you lose and there are times when you get beat, right? On Thanksgiving, the Packers beat the Lions. They outplayed them. Sunday, the Lions lost. They gave that, right? So don't get fooled if you're the Bears and keep this coach. I agree with Bo. You are set up to be the Lions 2 years from now or be right there with the Lions because you got Carolina's pick. So you're picking top 2, top 3 automatically. If you do the right thing or smart thing or whatever it is, you can have another top 10 pick. Now you can move off of 1 and pick up 3 picks, 2 this year, 1. Do what the Lions did in the Stafford move. Do something like that, right? You can maximize the asset that is Carolina's pick as well as your own. And you're setting yourself up to build your team with young talent. And you could be really good in 2 years, but it's going to need to be with a new coach. So, because I agree with Bo. I don't know if this is the right guy. Now, if you keep him, okay. I don't. And you got to make a decision on your current quarterback. Killed us. I don't know why you would trade him. He owns us, but maybe not everybody else. So make that decision. But you're set up to be really good because of how you're positioned in the draft. Your cap was really nice, and then you gave Montez Sweat $160, but he's really good. So cool. They're set up to be well. I don't know if that's the right coach. So to answer your question, they can be both. They could win another game or 2, still finish at the bottom of the North, still draft twice in the top 7 picks, and rebuild the team. There's a bunch of questions in there. Eberflus should not keep his job. They can be basement dwellers and spoilers at the same time.
Hey, Bill.
So a few things, and as following Demetrius is always fun, but he's right. If you if you lose a turnover battle by more than 2 turnovers, if it's 3-1, 2-0, 4-2, your chances of winning are something in the 8 point something percentile, I think. I mean, it's bad. It's really a bad percentage. I don't recommend it. And the other thing is that the Bears are better. They're rounding into form, but no, this should not save Matt Eberflus's job. The fact is that they need to surround their young quarterback, either the one they have now or the one they're going to be getting in the draft, whoever that is, with the following things. They need to add at least – they have a person who's acting as a number 1 receiver who would be an amazing number 2. If they were to add a true number 1 and now DJ Moore becomes a number 2, now we're talking. They need to improve that offensive line desperately.
So much.
Not just the draft alone. That needs to address both in draft and free agency. They have free agent. They have money to address it in free agency, and they have picks, potentially a lot of picks they could use to address it in draft. And last but not least, someone who knows how to develop a young quarterback. That has been the bugaboo for them for some time. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bears at all, but if you study the history of the team, they have not successfully developed a young quarterback that they drafted. Not something they got from someone else, not something that came in a trade, not something from free agency. Since Cyanide, Sid Luckman, or maybe if you want to count Jim McMahon, kind of, sort of. No matter which one we're talking about, even with the latest one, we're talking about someone who came to the team in the Reagan administration. So it's been a minute for them.
Yep.
There are people out there I would trust to develop a young quarterback. I'll mention once again, I should get a commission at this point, but I'll mention Alphonza Pep Hamilton again because the man is working in television and it is virtually a crime that he's not working in football right now. But just a short list of the quarterbacks he's helped to develop include Andrew Luck, right? Also, in his career, he worked with Davis Mills. He's worked with, I guess most notably recently, Justin Herbert, who wasn't even expected to be a starter, right? Got him ready to go, and he had a great rookie year. He has head coaching experience and even general manager experience. Admittedly, it's in the XFL, but nonetheless, he did it. I don't understand why he's not working somewhere in the NFL at the moment. But everyone else's foolishness could potentially be the Bears' gain. They could – I know they're one of those teams, the original 6, sort of, and they don't do things until the season's over. Fine, whatever. So let the season play out. And at that point, right near the top of the list to be, once again, the aforementioned Pep Hamilton, Ben Johnson is now the new flavor of the month, also amongst the people that everyone has to interview. So I guess you could bring him in as well. But look at the people who have a successful record of developing young quarterbacks. If the Commanders are so utterly stupid as not retain Eric Bieniemy, he's got to be one of the first calls you make. And you throw an enormous, well, for the Bears, an enormous amount of money. But throw whatever amount it would take to land him. Why? Because he has a track record of actually developing young quarterbacks. There's a short list of people that I would trust to do it because look around the NFL. Outside of a short list, there's not a lot of people who have really successfully done it consistently. A lot of the teams in the NFL either, have gone with a veteran of some sort, or someone else started, fattening frogs for snakes, right? Someone else developed them, didn't manage to survive long enough to reap the benefits of their works, and then some other coach gets to come in and work with them. And then obviously, you have Coach LaFleur, who is unlikely to, become available. But there's people on his staff that have worked with Jordan Love, who I think is on his way to being a very good young quarterback. But there's only a handful of places you can really look and say, oh, this person definitely knows how to develop young quarterbacks, because there's very few people that have done it. So don't mess around. Don't say, oh, this guy is another great whatever it is they saw in Matt Eberflus. I'm not sure what that is even to this day. He ran a good defense with the Colts, but not one that you saw, wow. I mean, it wasn't the 99 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It wasn't the 2001 Ravens. It wasn't the Steel Curtain. It wasn't the Pearl People. It was a good, solid defense. I still can't figure out what made them say, we got to have Matt Eberflus. But whatever. They like it. I love it. But yeah, there I am.
They like it. I love it.
I'm trying to see if we can get Don in.
Sure, why not? So what you want to do is start asking the question now.
Can you hear me?
Well,
Yeah.
I sent it to him.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
text him a question. There you go. Just let him talk. Go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So look at your phone, Don.
Ask me a question.
So what did you think about the damn, you just made me
The
forget.
Bears. The Bears.
Look at your
They
phone,
keep their
Don.
coach.
Look at your
Yeah.
phone.
We're talking about the Bears' victory over the Lions.
I mean, not really, but
Well, I got
So
one.
that game shocked the hell out of me. I figured the Lions would win by about 14, points, and how Chicago eked that out, I have no idea. But they pretty much took it to the Lions, and the Lions are one of those teams this year that I have a lot of hope on. I haven't given up. I think they're better than what we saw against the Bears, but for some reason the Bears just have their number. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the turf. I don't know, but it was kind of shocking to see what happened. Justin Fields is not a great quarterback, but he seems to get it done against certain teams.
Demetrius, when you spoke of it, do you have any apprehension at all the fact that your last two losses came against division opponents?
oh no. The North is on lock. We got a 2-game lead with 4 games left. Here's the thing. It's just simple. I won't even do
the
that.
Vikings twice, right?
Right. The Lions are playing the same team every week. They're playing the Detroit Lions. Right? Play to your level. You beat Denver Saturday. You beat Minnesota probably twice, and the division isn't in question. You're going to host a playoff game, and then you're going to have to go to Philly or Dallas or somewhere and show everybody who you are. It is not about the other team. It's not. We need to get healthy. Getting Gardner Johnson back, getting James Houston back will be great. We have to play we haven't played good football in the last 6 weeks. We stole one against the Chargers. We stole the first one against the Bears. We haven't played a great game probably since Tampa. We have gotten bounces, and we have won on grit. We need talent wins. We need to play our game. My quarterback's got to play better, and we cannot turn the ball over. It's easy. You can't 4 games where you turn the ball over 14 times. You're 1-3 in those 4 games for a reason. Turnovers are just the easiest stat in this game. It's the easiest stat in this game. And if the Lions play to their capability, they can play with anybody left in their schedule. They can beat Dallas. I don't love Dallas like everybody else does. They better win Saturday night, or all hell's going to break loose in the 3-1-3. We're going to start burning shit. So they better figure out a way to win Saturday. Minnesota doesn't scare me, no matter what. And I won't jump the pod here. We can talk about Minnesota in a minute. They don't scare me at all. We need to win both those games. But I think the North is locked, which means we have a home playoff game. Our challenge is to come out and play our best football. And if you beat us, Baltimore is the only time we got beat all year. The other 3 games were losses. Baltimore gave us the luggage and said, here, carry my stuff. Carry my stuff, rookie. And that's what it felt like. So I'm not worried. We're 9-4. If you'd have told me at the beginning of September, 13 weeks, Lions are going to be 9-4 with a 2-game lead in the North, I would have been ecstatic. So no, I'm not. But I mean, you know me. I'm an optimist. I think everything's fine. This league ain't that hard, though. There's no great team in this league. There's no team in this league that if the Lions play their best football, they did it the first Thursday night of the season in Kansas City. Play your best football, the Lions can play with any team in this league. If they play like they play Sunday, they can lose to any team in this league. That's how the NFL works. So.
Okay. All right. Well, Bo, I'm going to let you handle this next one here. The Vikings and the Raiders, they're part of NFL history, as they are the participants in the lowest scoring game since 2007. Yeah, I've only been here in California a few years now. Anyway, the Vikings win the game 3-0. The Rocket Man fizzles again, and Mullins is named the starter. Bo, what's your take on this game here? I mean, I love defense, and I believe, Bill, you'll have to. You're probably the only one that knows, but wasn't there a Super Bowl, or maybe it was a pre-Super Bowl that was won with this score? Kansas City and somebody in the snow, maybe.
Oh, wait a second. That
It was pre-Super Bowl, that's for sure.
It was definitely pre-Super Bowl. But I think you're thinking of,
Was it Green Bay and Kansas City?
The Ice Bowl?
It was.
What are you talking about?
Well, the Ice Bowl had more points than that.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm trying to remember. I think Green Bay might have been interesting, but I don't think it was that game.
Okay. Well, the score just sounded familiar, but Bo, go ahead. Maybe Bill will think about it in the meantime.
I mean, that game was tough to watch because it wasn't that. It's not like, in the 80s when you were watching some of these scores where it was defenses that were really beating each other up. Like, this was just ugly football. Like, there's a distinct difference. The score is the same, but back then you were watching a real battle out there, and that the battle here was with them completing their own plays. Like, people were open, so it's not like the plays weren't there. Like, you're watching the game and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, you could have thrown it there or get tackled. That, yeah, okay, cool. Like, it was just really sloppy, ugly football. So I wouldn't say that it's not history for the right reason. We'll put it that way.
Bill, as I said, you usually are a historian. I thought you would have got that right away.
Well, I mean, the lowest scoring championship game, and it was pre-Super Bowl, was a 10-zip. That was Cleveland and the Giants in 58. There have been some that have been close. There have been some 10-9s. There's been a 10-5 even, which was the Lions, 1970 versus Dallas.
Yep, I got a Betamax videotaping.
There you go. But yeah, that the 10-zip is the lowest championship game. So there's never been fewer 10 points scored in a championship game.
Well, what game was that? Was that in 2007? Who played in that game?
In 2007, let me think.
The lowest scoring game since 2007.
Oh, that wasn't a championship game. You said championship.
Regular game.
Well, this wasn't a championship either. The Vikings and the Raiders.
Oh, okay.
Right, but you said, for some reason, you asked me about championship games. Oh, okay. It's just one of the low scoring.
I was thinking it was a championship game, but it might have been another. I was just thinking.
Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. There have been several ties, as you might imagine, because you have to go back to, 16 years to find the last time there was a 3-zip game. But yes, there's been a few of those in the history of the league, but luckily not too many recently, because scoring until recently has been up, but this year the trend has been down. And I guess, I don't know if we'll talk about that tonight, but there's a few things I think are behind that. As was noted though, both these teams, now one, the defenses played, I would say, well, but it was really mostly the offenses sort of slipping around on, I mean, it wasn't like as bad weather conditions, just slipping around on their own lack of effectiveness. Might be the word. Yes. Apparently incompetence is slippery. But Pittsburgh beat Miami 3-0 November 26th of 2007. And then there have been a few others prior to that were, similar-ish. But yeah, that was the lowest since then. The thing that sort of jumped out to me, I mean, we saw that Dobbs got pulled for Nick Mullins, and to his credit, Nick Mullins was more effective in that he was 9 for 13 for 83 yards.
When Bill's voice goes up that high, he does not believe the shit coming out of his mouth. I know what that means. He doesn't believe in himself.
He just made it all the way to the 40-yard line. That's really all it means.
Well, the point is they managed to kick a field goal, I think is what matters. Because that's really what it comes down to, right? Just as in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the country of the zeros, the goose eggs, the person with a field goal kicker is king.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, by the end of that game, I was kind of hoping for a 0-0 tie all the way out. Just bury this team.
I'm proud of you that you made it to the end of that game. I mean, I think that's the biggest part of your statement is that you made it to the end. I bailed very early.
It wasn't the only screen I was watching.
Okay, all right. You had a multicast going. I got you.
Okay, I just texted John the question, so let's see if we can get him in.
There we go.
I love it. We're working around technology issues here. Uh-oh.
He's looking. He's scrolling. He's
thinking about it.
Thinking about it. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, we got you, man.
So the Vikings and Raiders, I mean, that goes back old school 60s, 70s football there. I think I like what the Vikings are doing right now. I really do.
What's that? Losing? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they won that game.
Yeah, well. So what about the Vikings do you like right now, Don? I might have to text him.
Yeah, I don't think he really.
Well, I just like some of the stuff they're doing. Offensively, defensively. I mean, I'm not a Vikings fan. Don't get me wrong, but
okay, yeah, good.
They are not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just saying that the Vikings have. I think they've done better this year than I figured they would. Kind of hard to say a whole lot about the score of that game because it wasn't a shootout or anything like that. But a win is a win.
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
That's why box scores just have numbers but no pictures.
Exactly.
Hey, when you're. I don't know if there's a if I remember right, there hasn't been a game like that since the 40s or something, the 30s or 40s with that low score. Is that right?
2007. November 26, 2007.
Okay, well, yeah, Bill wouldn't know that. But yeah.
All right.
Okay, I just
always think Bill should write a book if he hasn't already.
We should write a lot of books.
I would like to get around to that at some point.
I want the first one to be the Hall of Very, Very Good. That's the one, man. The Hall of Very Good. There's so many guys, right, on that Hall of Fame brink.
On the picture, on the book, on the picture, you've got Gary Clark over here in one corner, right? Yeah. Herman Moore is over here.
Herman Moore, my favorite all-time player, is there. And I tell people about that saying all the time.
I just texted on the next question.
Excellent.
Yeah, a lot of us talk about is there a Hall of Fame conversation? And I'm jaded because he's my favorite player. So I have 84 in all my passwords. I always say he should be there. But then I met Bill and he introduced me to the Hall of Very Good. Now I use that all the time. Yep.
Go ahead, Don.
You want to talk about the Bucks now?
Yeah.
Now that was a hell of a game there. Had all kind of drama. I mean, anything you'd want. It's always good to see Baker Mayfield lose, but I mean, no, wait. Hey, I got that backwards. It wasn't good to. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Tampa won the game, though.
Yes, he
Yeah, I
knows.
know.
He correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I meant to say it was bad to see Bijan lose to
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. I got it backwards.
Yeah, Don's a Bijan man.
I am
Oh,
a
yeah.
Bijan.
Yeah.
You know, in Austin, in Austin, he has his own mustard brand. It's called Bijan mustard.
Is that just a good Don Hayes joke, or is there a real Bijan?
No,
I think it's real. It's real.
Google it.
That's
Oh,
real.
wow.
That's
It's real.
amazing.
It's real. It's real. And it's really good. I mean, it's. I like it better than French's.
All right. Next time I come down, you got to get me some Bijan mustard.
HEBs if they have some left on the shelf.
All right.
Bo, what did you think? The Bucks tight end, Caden Otten, he caught that 11-yard pass and set up. It was 31 seconds left, and the Falcons beat the Bucks. Reggie isn't here, but on a positive note, Ritter passed for 347 yards.
Yeah.
And a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, that game was kind of what I expected it to be, right? Like neither team consistently shows up. They're kind of that middling, not great. So you put two of those together, it's usually a good football game. Neither one of them do anything particularly well, and when they do it against each other, it makes for a fun watch. So now, now they got that three-way tie going.
It's just such an average division. It's so funny.
Right.
And I mean, they're the sacrificial lamb for whoever the 5 seed is, right? Whether it's Dallas or Philly, I'm picking the road team that week. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I mean, 3 teams, 6 and 7. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to kind of move on. There's not a lot to talk about there. The Saints quarterback, Derek Carr, he overcame recent injuries and a rough start. The Saints became one of 3 teams tied in that division. We just talked about the other. Are you surprised that this Saints team has a losing record, Bill?
No. I wouldn't be surprised if all of the teams in that division had a losing record. The fact that somebody will probably float-ish to the surface, and the Saints have just as good a chance as anybody. They have probably the best quarterback in the division. Their defense is okay. This I feel actually is the best defense in the division, though. As I predicted preseason, the Falcons would have one of, if not the most improved defense in all of football. Because for me, really terrible last year, being a pretty good one this year. In terms of just offensive skill talent. Okay, now here's a fun thing. Like amongst the top 10 scorers in fantasy at their positions recently were Joe Flacco, Odell Beckham Jr., and Jimmy Graham. Guess what year it is? But yeah, the Saints have as good a chance as anybody, despite their record. In fact, maybe because of their record, of winning the NFC South as anyone. The Falcons are a talented but thoroughly untrustworthy unit, and I have been very impressed by Tampa Baker Mayfield's season so far, also getting that trademarked. The fact is that what he has proven to anyone who's watched is that he is going to be one of the more attractive mid-priced young veteran quarterbacks. And there'll be a market for him. Somebody's going to want him to be their bridge to whoever it is they're going to eventually be developing and drafting. So he's going to have a nice little run over the next few years being what, for years guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick and others were. So, yeah, get ready for him maybe coming to your town. Well, maybe not your town, but somebody's town soon as a bridge quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's see if Don can get in.
He's not even there.
Don's going again? Okay.
He's gone.
He's gone to feed the chinchilla that runs the router.
Literally, exactly.
Exactly. He's probably going to get Ranger to see if we can hear Ranger better than
Right.
that.
We need
Here we
Ranger.
go. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're just talking about it.
Let's see.
You get Ranger fed? Is Ranger fed? We get Ranger's dinner? Oh, dear.
No, he already ate. I had to go take care of some business in the bathroom. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for that.
Hey, we're after dark. It's okay. You know, it's
It's after dark. We all do it. You know the one thing about the Saints, though, I wanted to mention, they've had a lot of injuries. They might be to Bill's point. I want to raise my voice when I talk about them, but they've legitimately, whether it's Alvin missing games, Cam Jordan's missed games, Carr missed games, Chris Olave's missed games. They've had injuries. They might be the most. Now the Lions swept the whole division, so I don't really give a damn. They might be the best team in the division. I just don't think they've been the healthiest team. They have talent on that roster.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they might, like Bill said, I think he used the word float. And by the way, during the podcast, Bill, I've already trademarked incompetence is slippery. So don't try and get that one. I already got that. So I already sent my form in. While you were talking about the Saints, I sent them my form. There's a T-shirt on the way to everybody. I think the Saints are the best team in a mediocre division. They've had legitimate injury problems.
Yeah, I mean, they're roster-wise, they're the best team in their division, right? Which makes you think that Dennis Allen gets fired, right?
Right, exactly. That's why you get fired.
Yeah, I mean, because on paper, they should have easily won this division, right? You got an Atlanta team that's building. You got a team that's led by Baker Mayfield. So, I mean, toss that one out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's nobody in this division that you're like, oh, that's the team. So the Saints, based on the roster, should have been. And if you, as a coach, can't win this division going away, you kind of have to go away yourself. So
you probably will. I think you might have nailed that one.
So, yeah, I do think they end up winning this division, though, because they are starting to get everybody healthy. In theory, Carr, I mean, hopefully for them, he doesn't get hurt anymore. That offensive line has kind of let him get murdered, but, you know, he missed the last game because of 3 different injuries all at the same time. I mean, you got to protect your guy at some point. But yeah, I think they're still probably the best team in that division.
Don, you want to talk about Derek Carr and the Saints?
I think that's a no.
We can. The Saints are. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
The Saints are a head scratcher. I can't believe they are in the position they are in. I mean, their record is not what I expected for a team of that caliber. I like Derek Carr as a quarterback, but he's.
You might need to mute Bill. You might have to mute Bill. I think Bill is not muted. We got Bill Harold there. Okay.
Go ahead, Don.
No, I was just saying that the Saints, the fact that they are where they are right now is very surprising. It's a head scratcher. I think that it says a lot about that division, I guess, that you can have the losing record but still be tied. I don't know. I want to be a Saints fan, so bad because, going back through what they went with Hurricane Katrina that year, they won the Super Bowl and all that. But, it's like ever since then they've been at the cusp, but they never fulfilled their aspirations, I guess.
Yep.
Don, we're going to talk about the Chargers and the Broncos. You going to talk about Russell Wilson and that victory?
Yeah. So Broncos. let's just be real. The Chargers are not a great team, but a win is a win, right? And in NFL, you need all the wins you can get, especially when you're the Broncos. Chargers are being, they're without one of their best weapons in a quarterback, and so
Now Keenan Allen is out also.
what's that?
Keenan Allen is out also.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, they're without some weapons. So with that said, congrats to the Broncos for being able to get the win. It seems like at the beginning of the year, I think everyone, myself included, and I think everyone on the show was ready to write off Russell Wilson, and he has shown some resilience. So I'm thinking maybe the Broncos will continue to pull some surprises this year. I think the Chargers are in a fatal nosedive, which I hate to see, but hey, it happens.
Well, what's your thoughts here? Does this open up a window for Russ to silence his critics, and maybe the Broncos can back into this playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, they have a real shot at getting into the playoffs. I don't know that it's necessarily a lot to do with Wilson. I mean, their defense has been turning the ball over a lot. And like we talked about earlier, turnovers wins games, right? And they've given Wilson the ball at really advantageous locations on the field. So it's not like when you look at the box score and he put up 3 touchdowns, but he still only has 150 yards. He's not driving the field, right? Like he's taking over in good spots on the field and they're able to punch it in. So kudos to them for that. But it means on their normal possessions, they're not running down the field and scoring, right? So when they start playing some of these teams that don't necessarily turn the ball over all the time, I don't know that they win those games. You see moments of Wilson where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember him doing that. And of course I got to watch a lot of Russell Wilson, right? But the thing is you're not seeing that level of play out of him. And they're not asking him to play that. They're leaning more into the run, which is they're basically starting to tailor to where his wheelhouse was and getting away from trying to make Wilson cook, right? Like they are doing what Seattle did to make Wilson work. They're building their running game. They have a very good defense. And then they ask him to do a couple of things a couple times a game. If he has to play hero ball, I think it gets ugly.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your take here, Demetrius? A lot of people said, a lot of people had criticized Russ, at the beginning of the season. Evidently, he didn't give a damn because he just had a baby daughter, last week? So, criticize all you want, right? I'm going
Congratulations.
home.
Congratulations on the baby and the win against the Chargers. Now get on that plane to Detroit. We'll see you Saturday night. Get ready to take the ass whooping. Get ready to come back down to earth because we are mad and we are not in the mood to be dealing with no trifling foolishness Saturday night. So he's going to see a really, really inspired Lions team on Saturday. This is going to be probably the best game we played in 6-8 weeks because they're getting hammered locally, and they deserve it. But I think we're going to see one of the cleanest, crispest games the Lions have played all year. And Russ is just about to be the recipient of an indiscriminate ass whooping. We ain't mad at you, Russ, but you're the one who showed up. You're the one who's showing up, so you got to take it. So I don't know if there's going to be any cooking Saturday night. Or he can do whatever he wants after that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of cooking Saturday night.
Bill, what's your take here? Did we unmute you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I am one of the people that actually defended Russell Carrington Wilson. I thought he'd have a bounce back year, but I also did believe, as others have noted, that they would let Russ microwave this year, as opposed to, some of the things
he's just dropping shirt stuff now. Let Russ Michael, it's got to be a T-shirt. Come on, Bill, cut it out.
He's out there just making Easy Mac at this point.
He's got a book. I think all these sayings are actually in a book right next to him. I think he already wrote the book Don's talking about. He's pulling gems out of it.
But it's clear that they have found the recipe, if you want to continue the analogy, for a certain level of success. But has also been noted, when they take that step up in class, when more is required, unfortunately, when all you know how to do is, pop something in, poke holes in the plastic, and wait 3 minutes, that won't be sufficient when they do face the better teams. And while I don't know if it will be a blowout or whatever, I do think that you will see when they play a team like the Lions, the gap between those two teams. I think that their defense will help them to stay in the game. But, yeah, the Lions just are better pretty much every place you can think of. Yeah, pretty much every place you can think of. And I do think that Sean Payton and Russell Carrington-Wilson have now come to a place, because initially there was a little bit of tension there, creative tension sometimes, just plain old tension other times. But now they've reached a place where they are figuring out who does what well and when to call what. And that's why they will be hanging around and why they do have a chance to hold on to a wild card spot.
Okay. Bo, Debo caught 2 touchdown passes. Brock Purdy had a record day passing for 368 yards. And the 49ers beat your Seahawks 28-16. But Bo, talk to us about this NFC West, because they might be able to secure 2 spots in the playoffs also.
Yeah, I mean, if we've talked about anything, it's the parity, right? Like there is the in the hunt field is pretty deep. It's pretty deep. The problem for the Seahawks is the way that they've lost some of these games. It's going to be very hard for them to actually secure a playoff spot if they don't win out, because they lost 2 games against the Rams. They lost 2 games against the Niners, right? So now you're looking at the tie breaks that they potentially don't have anymore. And we look at the conference record, that becomes a real problem. So they essentially have to win out to hit 10-7. That's probably the magical number for them to be able to get in, because they're going to need a game on just about everybody. And I mean, unfortunately, they just haven't been able to get some of these games closed out. They had a real shot against the Cowboys, but if they miss the playoffs, they're going to look back at those 2 Rams games and the Bengals game. Those were both, or all 3 of those were all games that got away. They had leads in. They really just kind of fell apart in the second halves of those. I give them a little bit of a pass for week 1 since they lost both tackles at halftime. But the second meeting with the Rams, they shouldn't have lost that game. The Bengals, they definitely shouldn't have lost that game. So, I mean, this is missed opportunities, but there's still a path, but they got to win.
Don, can you hear us? You want to talk about the 49ers?
Yeah, let's talk about the 49ers. So the 49ers, we've seen this before, haven't we? 1990, they were called the Dallas Cowboys. Brock Purdy is Troy Aikman, right? Chris McCaffrey is Emmitt Smith. Debo is Michael Irvin. And Kittle is Jay Novacek. They have that kind of offense, and they are kicking some ass, and they're heading to the Super Bowl, guys. Which they'll probably beat Dallas to get the NFC Championship game, but yeah, they're putting up some amazing stuff. Brock Purdy is fast becoming my favorite player in the league. That guy is he's ice.
Clearly,
he's an outstanding young man. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of San Francisco, the city, but I'm a fan of San Francisco, the team. Put it that way.
Come on, Demetrius.
I think
I'm still confused over here.
There's a lot to take right there.
I felt like he just compared Brock Purdy to Troy Aikman. So I'm a little bit off balance right now. We all know I love Don Hayes, but I feel like I need to go get a soda or something because I might be dehydrated. I don't know. All that being, yeah, exactly. I need some coffee. All that being said, they're good. And right now they look like the best team in the league. But a month ago, somebody else was. And a month from now, because there's still a month left, somebody else will be. I have said the word parity 5 or 6 times tonight. I don't think there's any. I think when San Francisco plays their best, they can beat anybody in the league, anywhere. Doesn't matter where the game's played. I would say the same thing about Philly. I might say it about Dallas. I would say it about my Lions. If we play our best game, we're healthy, offensive line healthy, get back Gardner Johnson, James Houston, and we can beat anybody. I would say that about the Chiefs. I would say that about Baltimore. I mean, I don't think there's any team that's unbeatable, but we have to have somebody. So at this moment in time, we have, shout out to the late Denny Green, we've crowned the 49ers right now. 2 weeks ago, it was Philly. Nobody could be Philly, right? We've crowned the 49ers. Okay, that's fine. Troy Aikman? No, thank you. Sorry. Brock Purdy's probably a nice kid. I'm sure his sister is hot. I'm sure he's got friends.
He's going to have a good broadcast career.
Something. I'm sure there's great stuff to say about Brock Purdy. I know nothing about him. He ain't Troy Aikman, not yet. I'm not saying those two names together. Christian McCaffrey's great. Different than Emmitt Smith, but absolutely great. Debo's different than Michael. So I get what he's saying. He's saying they have weapons. I think he's saying they have weapons. And he's right. And right now, they feel scary. Who knows what they're going to be?
Sure.
Who knows what they're going to be 4 weeks from now? Their deal is injury, though. When they're healthy, they probably are the best team in the league. When everybody's healthy, they might very well be the best team in the league. Everybody healthy. Will everybody be healthy when the Lions come to town in 7 weeks? I don't know.
Well, so to that point right there, it's why I said that Dak could be your MVP. Sure, he's been playing well, but everybody's been getting hurt. He might win just because he's the only one that lived through the season.
Exactly, because he's there. Right. Totally agree.
We got Dak on the menu too. So
let's talk about that.
Cool. We're just gonna make everybody mad tonight. This is great.
Right, I know. We're covering everything.
Yeah. Bill, what do you think? I'm not necessarily on the 49ers bandwagon. As long as they beat Dallas twice, I could care less. But go ahead, Bill. The Brock Purdy is setting records every week. He just the last time we talked about it, he was setting another record. So what do you think about Don's analogy, and what do you think about the 49ers, Bill?
Sure.
I know you have all those numbers, all those names incorporated in your menu.
Yeah. He may not physically remind anybody of any version of Troy Aikman because he's physically a guy that is unimpressive, which is why he was the last player chosen in the NFL draft. But his efficiency is off the charts. And, at no point, even Troy Aikman's best year, was he flirting with some of the numbers that we're seeing. The idea of having about a 10-to-1 career touchdown to interception ratio, it's just, the game has changed, obviously. The game has changed a great deal. That's one thing it tells you. I mean, it's just unthinkable, the kind of things he's doing in terms of his efficiency. But he's also in a very different kind of offense. Both the Cowboys offense of the 80s and 90s was very run-based, but they were running a classic, sort of Sid Gilman-based offense where off of those play-action fakes, you were throwing deep corners. You were throwing bang eights. You were throwing deep comebacks. All the biggest of the big arm throws, baby. That's what they were throwing. And if that wasn't there, you might throw a dig to Jay Novacek just to show you were able to do that as well. But it was a very different kind of offense. A lot of the throws, and don't get me wrong, Purdy's also made some very impressive throws down the field. But most of the throws probably about 70% of the throws that he's featuring are what they call long handoffs, right? A lot of stuff passes through either the tight end, George Kittle, who's having a bounce back year. Is another player I thought would have a good bounce back year, having a bounce back year. Of course, Brandon Ayuk is a guy that can work all three levels of the field. And Debo is primarily a guy that catches the ball close to the line of scrimmage, within about 12 yards of the line of scrimmage, because he's almost like another running back. And then Christian McCaffrey is a running back, but he receives the ball as well or better than probably 70, 60% of the wide receivers. You don't have better hands than him, certainly. So he's all of their – but one thing they all have in common is run after catch. All their receivers, all their tight ends, all of their running backs, anybody who ever touches the ball in their offense is a person who is somewhere between very good and elite at run after catch. Ayuk, elite run after catch. Kittle, elite run after catch. Of course, McCaffrey, elite run after catch. The rest of them are just good or very good. But those three are elite at run after catch. And so because of that, their little plays are big plays. Their checkdowns are big plays. That little Texas route, that's a big play. McCaffrey jukes somebody, breaks a tackle. Oh, now it's 30 yards. So that's what their offense is built around. They're a dangerous offense because they have a quarterback who sees things like that. For a young guy, he's so smart, processes things correctly almost all the time. The ball comes out with touch and anticipation, hits guys right on the place where they want to catch the ball in order to keep running. If you keep doing that, they're going to be a very dangerous team, but a very tough team, and they have an elite defense on top of it. They are a handful.
Yep.
Don, let's talk about the Jets beating the Texans and C.J. Stroud getting knocked out the game late. The Jets ended a 5-game winning streak. Don, what do you think? Have we seen the real Zach Wilson, or what's up with the Texans?
Well, the Texans have been a big surprise all year. Not a whole lot was expected of them, but we have learned about the Texans. They're one injury away from disaster. Stroud is, he's a promising young guy, very likable. He does things right. He's a proven winner. But when he's out, I think it just kind of collapses the offense, and so got to keep him healthy, get him back, out of concussion protocol, and hopefully they can continue the success they've had, this year. Like I said again, if we went back and we go to the show at the first of the season, I would have said Texans. They might win 2 or 3 games. That's it. I was not expecting them to, actually play football to the extent they are. So, hats off to that coaching staff and organization. But, God, you got to keep Stroud healthy. That's all there is to it.
Bo, what's your take on this? That Jets game, Zach Wilson, what? Have we seen the real Zach Wilson, or was that just, a bad day for the Texans?
I mean, I feel like that's a bad day. I feel like that's a bad day for the Texans. That feels more like an aberration. We've seen a lot of film on Zach Wilson so far, so I can't imagine that you're this far in and then a light switch turned on. So I think it had more to do with the Texans. This is what you thought the Texans would be, right? You thought they were going to be able to surprise some people, and then they were going to lose some head scratchers, right? Like I feel like they're punching ahead of where they were supposed to be. I had them as like a 7-win team. And so I feel like they're a little bit ahead of schedule, but they're still devoid of some of the talent that they're going to get in this next offseason. Like I feel like they're still a year away from being truly competitive, but this is exactly the team I thought they were going to be this year. Is they're going to beat some teams that you're just like, okay, here we go. They got some things they're working with here. And then they're going to lose some games to, say, the Jets that they had no business losing. And it's just, it's a young team. Obviously, it's unfortunate that Stroud goes down. So obviously that hurts them moving forward, depending on if he can get out of protocol for this week or not. Obviously that has potential playoff implications for them. So, that hopefully he can get back, hopefully he can stay healthy. But, you got to like what you're seeing out of the Texans. So they're playing above where they probably should have been.
Demetrius, starting at the beginning of the season, there was a lot of criticism about CJ, his size, and what he was going to do in that offense, and then all of a sudden, he made that burst out of the gate, and the Texans have surprised a lot of people. But what did you think about that Texans Jets game? He got knocked out late. The score was pretty much out of hand when he got knocked out. But are we seeing the real Zach Wilson, or are you with Bo? That was an apparition.
So Bo covered everything. I could just say what Bo said, but I'm not going to do that because you know me, right? But so I'm going to repeat a lot of stuff. Number one, we have data on Zach Wilson. We have data, right? You're not going to banana in the tailpipe me with one bullshit win. Sorry, bro. We know who Zach Wilson is. No, I'm not making any meaningful decisions about Zach Wilson on that game because we know who he is. As far as the Texans, everything he said was right. They're a young team, probably ahead of schedule. They're talent deficient, which means they're inconsistent, which is all those things go together. But they are ahead of schedule. That's a team on the rise. That's the buy the stock now team, right? I'm not going to do the Michigan State has a revolutionary football surface that every team should put in their building right now. But guys getting concussions from hitting their heads on the turf drives me bananas. I'm not gonna derail the podcast. They got to do something about that. It's 2024. You can fix that. There are people in East Lansing, Michigan, working on turf that feels like grass. Totally digress. No, that's not the real Zach. That is Zach who caught a young, inconsistent team on a bad day, and he looks like Troy Aikman. No, Zach is Zach. The Jets should be in the quarterback market for the draft or free agency. Zach Wilson is what he is. You can't. I guess that dude's going to smoke weed and come back from Achilles surgery, but whatever. Zach's not the answer, though. You can get the crazy guy back, I guess.
Now, let's not confuse weed with.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not. Yeah, it's just a plan. I know. It's whenever he smokes. None of us really know what he smokes. Plus, he was immunized, so it works different.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Bill, what's your thoughts here? When you think about the Texans, I mean, even when Tank went out, CJ was able to put together. They lost Nico for a while, and right now, Singletary is their leading rusher. I mean, talk to me, Bill.
So, when you're looking at this point of the season, everyone's in stretch drive mode. As was mentioned, a lot of these teams, look kind of like they're going through a medical triage. Nobody's 100% healthy unless you're, I don't know, maybe a place kicker or something. But anyone who plays regularly, even people who are rotational players, you've got something. You've got a stinger. You've got a thigh bruise. You've got something. Yeah. And so certain teams are built for that. We talked about Howie Roseman a lot. And while the Eagles certainly have looked rough, Fletcher Cox is coming to the end of his career. Guess what they've done? In the last couple of years, they've added Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Look at who else is super deep? Might be it. Depth is hard to do in the modern NFL. Only a few teams really managed to have something like that. Who else is really deep? I mean, the 49ers we talked about, right? That's the team that's got.
Yeah, I was going to say the Niners.
That's another team that's got really good depth. But I mean, even the quote-unquote good teams don't have a lot of depth. We saw it happen to the Dolphins. Everyone talks about, their offense is so good, it's amazing, record-setting, blah blah blah. And we saw that when Devin Achane was out, they were good, but not quite as good. And then obviously the big thing was and Tyreek didn't miss a lot of time, but when Tyreek was out, it was like we're going to take away Waddle. Oh boy, right? So any of the teams that have a winning record, with the exception of the few divisions where just having a winning record isn't going to get you there. But in most divisions, having a winning record gives you a better than 50% chance. In fact, some cases, I mean, if you have a winning record in the NFC South, congratulations, you've won. but with the exception of that, it's not a shoo-in guarantee. But the other South is also super competitive with no great team, a couple of slightly above average teams, one terrible team, and a good team, or sort of good team, sometimes good team, right? Because the other thing, a lot of these teams are inconsistent. With, once again, a couple of exceptions. The Eagles have been beaten by a few really good teams that played well. They've beaten good teams when they've played better than those teams have. We talked about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are supposedly in this downward spiral, but they're still not losing, awful. They don't have awful losses. They have games they certainly could have won if they executed more cleanly. But if they clean up a few things, they'll go right back to looking like the Chiefs. I already talked about the Eagles, 49ers. And then there's the Dallas Cowboys, right? And then there's a little bit of a gap. Once you get past those teams, there's a little gap. And there's some other teams that are, and some of those teams will make the playoffs. We talked about the Broncos. The Broncos are a team that might make the playoffs. All the team we mentioned, obviously, in the NFC South. The Texans, right? Maybe the Vikings, maybe Green Bay. Seattle.
We're not covering every team in the league, are we?
No, we're not. We're not. Okay.
Okay. Just making sure, because I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, no, we're just standing around the horn right now.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, the salary cap does not promote depth, by the way. That's
right.
That's like
and that's one of the
first
reasons
line on the salary cap is
right.
You don't get to be deep. So the teams Bill mentioned, and I'm not, I mean to interrupt, Bill. I'll let you get back.
No, go ahead.
It's very, very, very hard to have depth. That's the point he's making. It's hard.
I'm gonna let you finish.
It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with this increase in the salary cap. Whether the salaries are going to go up or whether you're going to get more players for maybe a little less money, especially the new ones. But we'll see.
Quarterbacks are going to get paid more. That's all that's going to happen.
Right. They're going to get – there'll be a handful of superstars. They'll get more money. You might get maybe one more person added to the practice squad or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Don, what did you think about that Bills game? The Chiefs losing to the Bills 20-17. All of the controversy about Tony lining up off sides and,
Yeah, so I don't know why there's a controversy because I've seen the replays. I've seen the still photographs. He is lined up off sides.
Yep.
So I don't know what I still don't know what the Chiefs' complaint is. You're a professional athlete. You've been playing the game for, at least 15, maybe longer years. Where you're supposed to line up. You can't line up on, even on the ball or have your foot, we're braced to plane of the football. So, but a lot of crying and complaining and, over something that is easily fixed shouldn't even happen. I mean, how many times has offsides been called anyway? But when it is called for a reason because you're freaking offsides.
So 11 times this year.
Yeah, I love Mahomes. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but he needs to just cool his jets and talk to his receivers and just say, "Hey guys, line up where you're supposed to."
Yeah. I think the word you're looking for is bullshit. That was one quick thing, James. Why? Because I see this thing, and Bill might be able to explain it to me, or Bo. I see receivers look over at the ref.
Yeah.
Right? To get it's just as easy to look the other way, find the damn ball, and make sure you're not offside. What?
Okay. So, here's a question I would like everybody to consider, because I want to think about the season that Tony's had. He's dropped at least one winning touchdown. He's been called for numerous offside penalties, not just this one.
Wow.
If he were on any other team other than the Chiefs, would he be selling used cars in Kansas City? Bo.
I'll jump.
Go ahead, Demetrius, because you have to go. So go ahead.
No, I'll be quick. Yeah, I got to drop off in about 10 minutes, guys. I'll be quick. No, he's an NFL player. He's damn good. And there's not a lot of guys who can do what he does. I think
drop the ball in the end zone. I think there's a place to do it.
All right, you might. Okay, you got me. I think if he were on a team that had more talent at receiver, he would be cut, which is what I think your question actually is, right? Yes. If he was on a better team with better receiver depth, they'd have let him go. But they don't have that.
The rate that he's dropping stuff, he shouldn't go to jail. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you should go. Hey, I think it's a robbery for him collecting them checks on Sunday, but that's a different story. Anyway, Bill, can you make it a little short?
I can make it a little short.
We don't ask Bill to make it short. What are we doing?
So
that's not what Bill's here for. That is not what Bill Carroll's here for. Go ahead, Bill. I ain't leaving in the middle of Bill. Take as much time as you want.
You better start this with Tony's middle name.
I know. I want it right now. You gotta look it up now.
It's funny. It's funny. It's funny you should mention that. So I'm gonna try to keep it a little short though. So here's the first thing. There's a reason why this guy that everyone's been raving about since he was in high school, what he can do with the ball in his hands, is not a superstar, right? Wasn't a superstar in college. He was a complimentary player in college. Hasn't become a superstar ever, right? It's because of things like this. So this player who's got a lot of talent has been compared to even people like, Percy Harvin in his time at Florida. Even though he's, bigger, hasn't become a star, right? Things like this. He's a guy that struggles to track the ball moving in the air, and he makes mental mistakes. And that is why, and Kadarius, no mental name, Tony, he doesn't have one. Sorry, guys. We
wouldn't have known.
Yet another way he's let us down. But there's a reason that he isn't a superstar, despite all of his physical talent. There's one thing that you can tell about him. People like to say, oh, here's where they missed Tyreek Hill. Well, I mean, Tyreek Hill wouldn't have made this mistake, maybe. But the point is that this particular play was drawn up because big plays are now so hard to come by. They had to scheme up, dream up this particular kind of play. And it would have worked, but it did work, right? But they wouldn't have needed to do all this if they still had a guy like Tyreek Hill. Luckily, there's a wealth of receivers coming up in this, oh my gosh, super deep wide receiver class. And I trust Brett Veach and the people who are in that room to find at least one of them and toss them in there. The Chiefs are going to be just fine, like I said. And yeah, I mean, Kadarius Toney made a big, giant, stinking mistake. And he either will fix that or he will play a lot less. He won't play that much, but he'll play nothing at all.
All right, well, Bill, let's see. You thought the Eagles were the shit before, at least in the East. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and the kicker Brandon Aubrey helped the Cowboys pull even with the Eagles in the NFC East. There's chance for Dak for MVP. Bill is, is this, mirrors or fake gold, or are the Cowboys that good?
Well, we did this earlier. We talked about rosters, right? We talked about this with the Saints. The Cowboys roster has already won the Super Bowl. The problem is they have to take the field and play football. And what happens at some point every season is the Cowboys go into a game where you think, oh, yeah, the Cowboys are going to win, and the Cowboys do not win. Now, this may be different. Maybe this is the year they put it all together. I can't say definitively that they won't, but I'm not going to believe it until I see it. When they go on a deep playoff run and find themselves playing in an NFC championship, I will say I was wrong. But until that happens, I still think the next time they see the Eagles, which will probably be in the playoffs, the Eagles will beat them. And I will not believe differently until they beat the Eagles with there's money on the table.
Yeah,
I will say,
they're at the ball, just the slipper doesn't fit. That's all it is.
Never fit. Never fit.
Don, let's talk about your Cowboys and the Eagles.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, so now talk about being surprised. I didn't think the Cowboys had it in to do that to the Eagles. They just played the shit out of them. I was like, is this the same Dak Prescott that used to always let us down, crucial times? And that guy's playing with confidence. I mean, it's a different Dak than what I'm used to seeing. And it's like going back to an ex-lover where you hope that they've changed, and so you get your hopes up that you can, go ahead and go all in, but you're afraid that they're going to pull the rug from you. So that's how I am with the Cowboys. I've said before, I want to be a Cowboys fan. I do, but I just don't trust them. But now I'm thinking, dang, maybe I can trust them now. Maybe I can, go to Academy Sporting and buy myself a Cowboys apparel or something, But I just can't get on that bandwagon just yet. But I would love to see them continue to win. I'd love to see them at least make the NFC Championship game. They have a hard time against San Francisco, but I think that's a good matchup I'd like to see again. So, and the Eagles are starting to slip a little. They're losing games that they shouldn't lose, and then they just got their asses handed to them by the Cowboys. So, it's a different game.
Yeah,
Demetrius.
I think the Eagles were pulling an Icarus for a while. They were flying close to the sun quite a bit. And eventually,
mythology. I mean,
eventually those wings were made of feathers and wax. And eventually they melted, right? And the Dallas game, maybe the 49er game, was the moment you fall back into the sea. The Lions are guilty of the same thing, by the way. This could be a wake up call for the Eagles because we're not going to act like the Eagles aren't talented all of a sudden. I love it. I love it. I still think if everybody was healthy, I think the 49ers are the better team. I think Dallas is playing as well as anybody right now. Dallas is I want no part of them, except the problem is the Lions have to be in Dallas December 30th. So thankfully I'll be on a cruise ship and there's nothing they can do to mess with me when I'm on a cruise ship watching a game. So win or lose, it won't matter. The drinks are going to be good. So I think that the Eagles are still good. They got some stuff to fix. Dan Campbell likes to use this term, clean up. We got a lot of stuff we got to clean up, right? Eagles are the same way. They need to clean up a few things. They're still the Eagles. I just think Jalen's not healthy, by the way. We're not talking to – I don't know if Jalen's 100%. And Bill's point might be right. Nobody's 100% right now. That hurts the Eagles. Dallas is actually good, Don, so you better buy your ex some roses and some flowers and try and get her ass back because she's fine right now. She's been doing Pilates. She's been doing Pilates, bro.
She's gonna hurt you.
You might want to reconsider this. Hey, we'll see.
As me and Bill readily know, Jody is always waiting. Since you have to go, Demetrius, a couple things. Let's see. We have the
Lions giving up the 5 and the over.
Yeah.
No, give up the 5 and take the over. I think this is a get right game for the Lions. I can do some others if you want. I'm definitely doing that one. We're gonna get right Saturday night and give up the 5 and take the over 48. We're gonna put up 34 ourselves.
Oh, okay. What about let's see, is it the 49ers and the Bills?
That's a good one.
The Cowboys in the Bills.
Oh, I was gonna say, wait. Oh, so it's
Cowboys are getting 2, and the over/under is 50.5.
That's a lot. That is a big number. I'm actually gonna take the under. The game's in Buffalo. I don't know what the weather forecast is like, so I'm gonna take the under, assuming it's gonna be mid-December in Buffalo, and I've been to Buffalo in mid-December. Yeah, okay. I'm taking the under, and despite everything I just said, I'm taking Buffalo because they're in sort of a must-win kind of mode, right? And Dallas, history says Dallas lets off the gas in December. They're not a great December team, so I don't know. I don't want to piss Dallas off because we got to go there in a couple of weeks, but I'm gonna take Buffalo to win the game, and I'm gonna take the under though. It's gonna be low score. It's gonna be cold. So I don't know how you put up 51 in that kind of weather.
Let's see. It was one more game here that might be
Eagles Seahawks looks good to me. That's one that's interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Eagles are -4. They're getting the Seahawks.
Similar on the road. They're
47.5.
Road favorites in this league of mediocrity scare the crap out of me. I just got to be honest. And the Lions lost to Seattle. So when they're right, they're a tough football team. They're not a joke. I think they're struggling a little bit now and people are underselling them. But I watched them come into Detroit and play some really good home dog. That's one of the best crowds in the league. That's one of the toughest buildings in the league.
It's still going to be Drew Lock, though.
Oh. Okay, so forget everything I just said. I
liked where you were going, but I knew you were going to be really sad when you realized it.
Yeah, sorry. I'm actually a Geno guy. I actually am someone who has kind of always liked Geno Smith. So I would say, take the Eagles. The Eagles need to be a get-right game for the Eagles then. But I don't ever love 4-point road dog. That's a statement, man. But I would take the Eagles and lay the 4.
Okay. You want to give us your final thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Hey, it was great to be back. I'm sorry I got to drop a little early. I do this a couple times a year. Same dude. I do it every 4 or 5 months because I just don't think he's ever gotten his due. And Larry Doby was the first black player in the American League.
Yo.
3 months after Jackie. Right. He went through all the same shit Jack went through. Right. All the stuff you hear about, the legendary stories of Jackie going through. Larry Doby went through the same stuff. He was a 7-time All-Star. He started with the Indians 3 months after Jackie did, and he was a hell of a player. I think he was like a lifetime 290, 292 type of guy, and he was the second black manager in the history of baseball. Larry Doby's a big deal, not because he did a little stint with the Tigers, which is normally why I would do something like that. But every time I get a chance to mention Larry Doby, I will, because it is not, and it's never any disrespect to Jackie, but Larry Doby went through the same struggle, the same journey. He dealt with all the same shit Jackie dealt with, and he was dealing with it in Cleveland, Ohio, right? So I mean, not that it was any easier for Jackie, but any chance. Today's his birthday, by the way. Sorry, it's Larry Doby's birthday. Any chance I get to mention Larry Doby, like I said, I've probably done it 3 times in my final thoughts. I'm a big Larry Doby guy. I think he doesn't get talked about nearly enough. There needs to be a trophy named after him. If there's not, there needs to be a building somewhere named after him if there's not. So, yeah, I always look for an opportunity to recognize Larry Doby. Google him, look him up. It's worth it. Hey, great to be back, guys. Bill, thanks for all the proceeds I'm going to get from Incompetence is Slippery. See the shirt soon. You guys are going to get free shirts. And I'll help you with the book if you need, because I got a bunch of Bill Carroll stuff written down in my book over here. So it's good to see you guys. Next Wednesday, I think I'm good. So I think I'll see you guys next week too.
All right, man. All
right, guys. Hey, have a good rest of the show, guys.
All right. Yep. Oh man, always good to see Demetrius back.
Hey, James.
Yes.
James, I'm gonna have to cut out also. We got final exams tomorrow, so I'll just go ahead and give you my final thoughts. I don't want to be controversial or anything, but I'm going to say the quiet thing out loud. Al Michaels, who I consider one of the great sportscasters of our era, is being taken off the telecast for the playoffs because he said that he wants to focus on football and not on Taylor Swift. possible because every time the Chiefs on, I think they feel pressure to talk about Taylor Swift. I don't know if her people are pushing that to get even more publicity. I mean, that young lady has more publicity than she needs, but I don't know. I just think it's shitty that we will be seeing Al Michaels, when the playoffs start. So that's my final thought. It's good to finally be able to get on the show and be able to talk without everyone chopping up and everything. What's that little spin thing called?
The
Down
spinning
low,
wheel of death. Yeah.
Buffering.
Yeah, buffering. The first 20, 30 minutes of this show, I kept getting buffered, and I hate it. But I'm glad it finally got to the point where I could actually speak and y'all could hear me. I will be back Wednesday. So until then, y'all guys take care.
Take it easy, man.
All right, have a good one. See you next week.
You too.
All
right.
All right, guys. Couple more questions here. Bo, you got time, or you got to go? Okay. All right. So let's knock off these last couple questions here that I was going to talk about. One being, of course, the Giants' victory, and Mr. DeVito. So my question here is, well, it's not really a question, more of a statement, because that last pass that he threw to Robinson, Juan Vandale, Bill, I know you'll get the pronunciation correct, but that he threw up to Robinson set up the winning field goal, and they upset the Packers 24-22. Bo, do you think the Giants are a better team with DeVito under center?
Wow. I mean, they seem to have they seem to have gelled a little better. So I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the problem with Daniel Jones was, because some of those games the offensive line was playing so bad that it almost seemed like they were just letting guys through to go kill him. So I mean, when you got games with double-digit sacks, like that's a bad look. Like, these guys are pros. That should never happen. So I feel like the team has played better with him, but I can't really say that. It's been 2 games. So let's see him finish out the rest of the year. But if they play, even in losses, if they play similar effort-wise to what they did over the last 2 games, then I'd say it's pretty clear you got to move on from Danny, right?
Bill, what do you think?
Well, I think they're moving on from Daniel Jones no matter what. The fact is, he was drafted by the previous regime, not by the current regime. He would have to have had a really good year this year. Now, they're not moving on from him immediately because they just extended him.
I was going to say, it's the money. It's the money.
So not moving on from him immediately. Whoops. But I promise you, they will bring in somebody to compete with him. That much I can tell you. And shout out to Thomas and DeVito. First of all, his family, his agent. I met his agent actually at the Combine last year. A peach of a man. I highly recommend drinking with him if you get the chance. But I'm not even joking when I say that. But shout out to Sean out there. But the fact is that they are a mess of an organization. And the good news is they are in position to maybe grab a quarterback if that's what they decide to do. But no matter what they do, they need to fix that offensive line. It was just pointed out. So they may need to, at least with that first pick, grab a top-level offensive lineman. And then maybe with all the subsequent picks, pick one of those quarterbacks that's available for maybe a developmental draft pick, later in the draft. The KJ Jeffersons of the world, or whoever. I have to remember if he decided to declare or not. But I have to check to see who has and hasn't declared. but there'll be some quarterbacks available besides the first round guys. And then once again, I mentioned a guy like Baker Mayfield, but one of those mid-priced, mid-career veteran bridge types. And yes, you have to let Danny go out and play because you're paying him a lot of money, but I believe they probably have seen enough to see enough, and they are assuming are playing for the future. If some team out there says, hey, we're interested in as a reclamation project, we'll throw you a conditional fourth that could turn to a third, you won't even get the part about third out of your mouth before the deal is like, oh, yeah, we're sending you paperwork now.
Right.
So he will be available. I'll put it that way. He will be, whether or not they are shopping him or not. I promise you, if you make calls, they'll listen. I'll put it that way. And then last but not least, they've got problems other places. In case you're wondering, kids, they were supposed to have a matchup nightmare at tight end and Darren Waller, who got almost immediately hurt. Daniel Bellinger is a solid young tight end, but he's not a guy that tilts the field in your favor. Their best player, you've heard this before, is a running back in an age in which running backs should not be your best player on offense. And their receiver core is, well, you just mentioned Wan'Dale Robinson, who led them, actually. He was their leading receiver in the last game. They have a talented but constantly injured Sterling Shepard. They have Darius Slayton, who would be a wide receiver 4 on a better team, who is probably their wide receiver 2. Who am I forgetting? Whoever I'm forgetting is forgettable. So that sort of wraps up the state of their offense. There's a lot of work to be done. I mean, a lot. They also let some of their best players on defense go, right? Leonard Williams isn't walking through that door anymore. Their best player on defense that I've seen is probably Bobby Okereke, and he's not exactly a household name. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, Thibodeau. Thibodeau is a young, budding star. Bobby Okereke is probably their best linebacker, and their secondary is, they're professional football players, but there's nobody I can think of. The other team's like, oh my God, we got to stay away from blank, right? So when you don't have a mismatched pass rusher, though Thibodeau might become that, but he hasn't happened quite yet, but maybe it's coming. You don't have a guy as good as Leonard Williams, at least anymore, on the interior of your defense. You don't have a mismatched player except your running back on offense. They're not a difficult team to prepare for. That's what I'm kind of building up to. However, Thomas and DeVito, hats off to you. And they still play hard. Like we talk about certain teams. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Arizona Cardinals games this year. I have. And while they have not won a lot of games, 3-10 at this point, they are playing so much harder than they played last year. The effort level is dramatically different from last year. And while it might not equal the wins now, if they draft well, they should be a significantly better team next year.
Well, we'll definitely see about that. Let's talk about the Titans. The Titans beat the Fins 28-27 for an improbable victory. Will Levis throws for 327 yards. Of course, Tyreek Hill spent most of the game on the sideline with a leg injury. But Bill, do you think that the Dolphins may have come into that game a little overconfident?
I'll just say what I've been saying. They aren't as good as people think. Check the tape. Have they beaten a team with a winning record yet? Because I believe the answer to that is no. They're not as good as people think. I've been saying this for a while, James. They aren't as good as people think. They are not. And until something changes, I will stick to that.
What about you, Bo?
No, they have the problem that I've said they've had all year is they have a dynamic offense and a defense that doesn't routinely show up. So that's why they lose to good teams, because They need to be able to get off the field, and they can't. And as soon as you end up with, one of your home run hitters not in the game or hobbled to some degree, you need a defense, which they don't have one to lean back on. It's not that statistically they're the worst defense ever. They just come up small in important times. It's one of my issues with the Jags. They do very similar things. Dynamic offense, defense, statistically okay, but in important moments, they come up short. And that's why they lose to winning teams. And in this case, I mean, they're, the Titans, that's a team that should be playing better than they are, right? They actually do have a decent defense. They have guys, right? I mean, D-Hop hasn't been a factor. Henry hasn't been a factor, but they should be, right? I mean, it's not like they're injured. There's no reason for them to not be dynamic playmakers. It just hasn't been that year for them. So, I mean, they have the ability to come and beat you.
Yeah. D-Hop is actually starting to come around, especially in fantasy, but, that doesn't always translate on the field.
Well, he's a possession receiver, right? And so they need to find big plays. And they have, obviously, Derrick Henry, who's still effective, but can't take the ball quite as much as he used to, partially because he's getting older. And his running style is collision-centered. And so when you have a collision-centered running style and you've had a lot of carries and you are getting older, first of all, speaking of fantasy, if you haven't grabbed Tyjae Spears already, what are you doing with your life? But once again, you're a team where your best player on offense is what? A running back. And that's not ideal for today's football. They also need to develop a real threat at wide receiver. And I like D-Hop, but D-Hop is not a dynamic playmaker. He's not a guy that's going to grab the ball on a 7-yard out, break a tackle, spin off somebody, juke somebody, run 27 yards, and then it turns a little play to a big play. That's just not who he is. He's a guy who's going to catch the ball at 7 yards, maybe stretch forward and get you another 2 yards and fall down.
Maybe
maybe get you 10, maybe get you 9.5. So it means you have to claw and scratch and bite your way down the field, and one holding penalty, one offsides, one whatever, and now you are in a situation where you're punting. So they have a decent defense. Their offense is explosiveness challenged, quite frankly. And until that changes, they'll be the kind of team you've seen them be. But styles make fights. They found a team that didn't want to fight, and they challenged them to a fight. And the other team wasn't feeling it. They won.
Bo, you talked about the Jags, so I'm going to bring this next one to you. First of all, Clowns quarterback Joe Flacco, better known as Joe Namath's Ringman, throws 3 TDs. The Clowns defense has 3 interceptions of Trevor Lawrence in a 31-27 victory, and the Clowns moved to 8-6. Your thoughts? You can talk about the Clowns, or you can talk about your lack of faith in the Jags.
Well, I mean, the thing with the Jags, right, is because they don't have a great defense, they need their offense to run perfect. And if you're turning the ball over, something we've harped on all night, you're going to lose the game. And then when it comes to the Browns, they have a really good defense. If you leave a ball floating out there, they're going to snatch that thing up. And Flacco is just good enough if you give him enough opportunities to win a game. He's not going to go win a game for you. But, if you get the ball in his hand enough, he's still capable. He's not the old Flacco that, not that I ever thought he was great, but he's better than the shell that he is today. But, again, if you give him 3 extra possessions, he's going to find his way in the end zone.
Yeah. Usually happens that way. Bill, Walk-Off Wallace. The Ratbirds punt returner Tylen Wallace returns a punt 76 yards in OT. His punt return gave the Ratbirds a victory 37-31 over the Rams. And the Ratbirds are now 10-3 with the best record in the East. I believe the best record in the AFC. But with the road to the championship going through Baltimore, Bill, do you favor them to win the AFC championship?
No, but I do favor them to play in the championship game. I think they will make a deep run. I think that they will be a step, the last step for the team that does win the AFC championship. And I'll be honest, I still think that despite all the hand wringing and Sturm und Drang, that the Chiefs will pull it all together. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, they could continue to play at this level and eventually end up winning. But I'll need to see it. Once again, here's the good news. And once again, I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson, but I'm not telling anybody anything that you can't just check. His playoff resume is not sparkling, not great. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like if you just look at it and say, oh, I mean, there's something there. But this could be the year that changes, but it hasn't yet. So until it changes, until something does happen, I'm going to still favor a team that has shown they will play their best when the playoffs roll around. And so instead of a team that has shown consistently that it doesn't play its best in the playoffs.
Okay. Bo, Bungles quarterback Jake Browning shines again in a 34-14 victory, and he had a historic performance, actually. But does Browning bring more balance to the Bengals offense? One game he threw to 7 different receivers. This game, I believe he threw to at least 6 different receivers. What do you think? I mean, he doesn't seem to have that connection with Jamar Chase, but he knows that he's a weapon. But he uses more of the team, more of the players, more of his weapons. Whereas, I think the other quarterback is in, the game plan is much more different, where it features Tyree and Mixon much more, especially Jamar Chase.
Yeah, well, I mean, historically, that's always true, though, right? Like, generally, when a backup comes in, the chemistry with the stars, right, your number one and your number two, isn't usually the best, right? Because they don't get to take a lot of first-round reps. So usually their best connections are some of those depth guys, because that's what Team 2 gets to play with most of the time. So when you see those backup quarterbacks come in, a lot of times some of their best targets are the backup tight end or that third option receiver. Those are those guys that they've played with all season as the number 2 reps. So it's not a huge shock that he's moved the ball around a lot more. He will find those key guys as the season goes on, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he still finds them. I mean, but now instead of Tyree, instead of Jamar catching 10 passes, he might catch 7.
And that's all I'm saying. It's not that he's not going to look for those guys, obviously, but he's not going to have the connection that Burrow is going to have, right? Because he's thrown to those guys all day at practice, all day during the games. So I mean, when you look at backups when they come in, a lot of times they actually have pretty good distribution. Not generally with the success that Browning has had. Usually their distribution includes some of the defense, but So, but yeah, I mean, it's impressive what he's doing. Yeah, he did have a decent career in Washington, though. I mean, so it's not like he was a scrub coming out of college.
Right, and he set all the records in the state of California where they've had some decent quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I mean, look at his numbers at Folsom, and they're nuts. 123, I think, touchdown passes in his high school career. So yeah, he was pretty darn special as a high school guy, and had a very nice college career.
Well, Bill, you're gonna have to take my wrath since Dave's not here, and we're gonna talk about my beloved Steelers.
Oh,
Zappy, let me make sure you hear this right. Barry Zappy threw for 3 touchdowns against the Steelers.
yeah.
We're now like a 34%. We have like a 34% chance of making the playoffs. Is it time to admit that Kenny Pickett is at best a Q2, or hire another quarterback coach?
Well, but you didn't have Pickett though. You had Trubisky.
I was gonna say, since Pickett wasn't in this game, I don't know if this tells you anything about Kenny Pickett.
Well, no. I mean, come on now. We have to look at the season. Trubisky hasn't played the whole season.
No. I looked at the season. Yeah. No, I mean,
okay. And I said at the beginning that when you have a quarterback room that consists of Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph, there's no doubt.
I would like to present the law firm of Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can trade you 3 for 1. So, I'm talking about overall, and the way that we, Pickett went to Pitt, and he got a chance to watch the Steelers. The coaches got a chance to see him. Well, to me, it hasn't translated over the field. So
okay. So,
like I said, I mean, maybe you can hire another quarterback coach, and maybe it's not.
Sure, fine. Look, these are go back to the things I talked about before. So back when we talked about this when he was coming out, I said he's not an elite level talent. I thought everyone got the memo that there were no first round quarterbacks in that draft class. And everybody else got that memo except the Steelers. I said this at the time. This is not something I'm saying now. I said this back then. I said everybody else got the memo. Why didn't the Steelers? There were no first round quarterbacks in that draft class. Why didn't they see that? He is a solid prospect who can develop. I think he could be something, but he'll never be elite. He doesn't have the talent. He's not that kind of player. He could be what? I mean,
at best a QB2.
I mean,
he could start. He could start.
Right. He could start. He is. I mean, he's a guy that, especially if they had a better situation. There's another team that has explosive play challenge. We just talked about the Titans. So
they have. Wait a minute, hold on. Bo, name 2 teams right now that you think Kenny Pickett could start for.
Oh, that's not that hard, but partially because this is a bit of a weird year.
Well, name 2.
But he would start for the Jets right now today. It would be slam dunk.
Okay.
He would start for. He'd probably start for
the Pats, even though
he would start for the Colts. I mean, there's a few places where he would start, no doubt, right away. But he would not be elite. Like he would not raise the level of the offense that much, but he'd be better than who they're trying to. And yeah, the Patriots would.
He could probably.
The Patriots would definitely trade you if you want to make a trade. They will trade you to get Kenny Pickett.
They give you both of them.
Yeah.
Give you Jones and Zappy.
Yeah, that's not a trade you should make, but yes, they would definitely do it.
I mean, for any of the South, right? With the exception of the Saints, probably, but like
the exception of the Saints, right? He'd start for everybody else, right?
I mean,
so there's
opportunity.
There's plenty of places where he would start. That's not the issue. Like our goal should not be to have a top 25 25 quarterback in the NFL. That should not be a goal. We do. We have a guy who's one of the top 25 quarterbacks in the NFL. Not top 20 probably, but definitely top 25. And that should not be the goal. Sure, we can get better and should get better coaching and better play calling and better weapons. I was critical of the Najee Harris selection for all the reasons I mentioned at the time. He's a power back who does everything all right, but doesn't give you any one thing where it's like, wow. He's a power back who's not that powerful. He doesn't have speed. He doesn't have a lot of wiggle. His hands are decent. He can catch the ball reasonably well. He's pretty good at blitz pickup, but he has no wow factor. The most exciting, explosive back you have is Jaylen Warren, who you're paying 1/6 of what you're paying Harris. It's mind-boggling the way they allocate resources on this team. They just recently rediscovered Pat Freiermuth, which is exciting, who is one of their best players on offense. And I know he was hurt earlier in the year, but he's been healthy for a little while. It's like, oh, we forgot he's off IR. So I would like to see them sort of run a lot of their passing offense, frankly, through Freiermuth. That would help to open things up on the outside. They still need to use Calvin Austin III, who I know also battled injuries earlier in the year, but the last I checked, he's healthy. I don't get why they don't put their most explosive players on the field more often. The fact is, if they had Pickens, Freiermuth, Warren, and Austin on the field at the same darn time, there's at least a chance that somebody, even if it's a mesh, a crossing, whatever, one of those people can actually do things after the catch. And Calvin Austin III gets way too few touches for my taste. And yes, once again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a very bounteous wide receiver class, kids. Please draft early and draft often wide receivers. They still need, especially the way football's played nowadays, they need at least one more, if not two more, options in that passing offense to get the ball to. And obviously, I love Cam Hayward. You love Cam Hayward. We all love Cam Hayward, but it's also time to draft his replacement. So maybe you do that in the first. Maybe in the second, you attack either wide receiver or corner, and then whichever you didn't attack in the second, you then attack in the third, and then add offensive line and defensive line depth alternating or whatever from that point forward to the end of the draft. But yes, this is not a great offense. It's not all Pickens' fault, but he's not super talented. He's not a guy who should have gone in the first round. I said this when it happened.
Well, hey, it's definitely coming true. Like I said, I think the fact that that they saw him every day kind of got
Oh, I'm so tired of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's like that girl that you see every day, and you know that she's ugly as hell. But over the years, she starts to look a
grow on
better.
you. Yeah, I got that. But but maybe you go out with her a couple of times, but you shouldn't necessarily marry her because of that, James.
I agree. You're talking to the choir here. I agree. But anyway, I'm kind of disappointed in the season, and I hope we are able to turn things around.
Frankly, this is exactly what this is. I thought my previous season prediction, as you might remember, was 8-9. So they're a little bit ahead of where I had them, to be quite honest. But we'll see if they close out strong. They will crawl into the playoffs. They'll get immediately ushered out of the playoffs. But we can say we made the playoffs, which is always nice, I guess.
Well, I mean, and it'll carry on the Tomlin legend of never having a losing season. So
sure,
right, yeah.
So let's get to our predictions here, guys. Bo, I'm going to start with you here. We have another great game lined up here since Justin Herbert is not going to play.
Battle of backups.
So we have the Chargers actually getting 3 at the Raiders, and the over-under is 34.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with their starters, these teams weren't putting up points. So I'm going to take the Raiders at home. I'll take the field goal because that's probably what it's going to be. And then I'm going to take the under because, again, neither one of these teams were putting up tons of points with their starters. over the last few weeks. So being backups, I don't have a lot of faith in it.
Okay, let's see. That's tomorrow night game, and
Yep.
we have a whole array of games on Saturday. I mean, hey, this is football season. Okay, so Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Bo, the Vikings getting 3.5 from the Bungles, and the over/under is 39.
Yeah, so this one, I'm going to go with the Bengals here at home. The Vikings can't seem to figure out who they want to be their quarterback, which means they don't have one at all. And Browning's looked good for the Bengals over the last couple of weeks. So I'll take them. I'll take the points. This is another one that is probably going to be the under, though. It's going to be close, but that's probably the under.
Okay. Bill, Thursday night, Chargers getting 3 from the Raiders.
His camera's off, so not sure if he's there.
He was here. Where'd he go? Oh, well, then we'll keep on going, Bo.
All right.
The Steelers was next, I believe.
Yep.
The Steelers getting 2.5.
Oh, there he is.
Versus the Colts, and the over/under is 42.
I'm going to regret this. Oh, sorry, you're good.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Man, this is a this is a tough one. Do I feel better about Minshew or Trubisky? I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth. I'm going to go Colts here. And then, man, the under also. And then what'd you say it was like a 1 point?
2.5.
2.5. I'll still take the points. I'll take the Colts, the points, and the under.
Okay. Bill, you back there, huh? Okay. Let's start with the Chargers. Getting 3 from the Raiders, and the over/under is 34.
Oh, 34.
All backups.
I'm going to shock. I know I'm going to shock the world and say that it goes over because guess what? Defensive scoring counts too, and I will still take the Chargers. Yeah, what the heck? I'll still take the Chargers. I still feel like they're a slightly more cohesive, coherent unit on offense. The defenses are kind of a wash. So, yes, I will. In fact, I think I picked up the Chargers defense in a couple of fantasy leagues. So, yes, I will do that. And then I will take the Steelers. I don't like it, but I'll take the Steelers and the under in that game. I'll take the over in the first game.
Oh, okay. Sticking with Saturday evening, Bill, the Broncos getting 5 from the Lions, and the over/under is 48.
5. I do think the Lions will win. I don't know about the 5. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a close game, despite Demetrius's rather bold statements. So I will take the Broncos, though I think they don't win the game. I think 4 is actually the number. I think it ends up being 27-23. And the over/under was what?
48.
Then I will take the over narrowly.
Oh, okay. Let's start with Sunday morning, Bill. The Chiefs giving the Pats 9.5, and the over/under is 37.
Wow. Well, I mean, this almost has to be over, right? I think the Chiefs' offense kind of finds its way a little bit. I think they get at least one score on defense as well. I think their defense sort of stinging from rare recent performances will get their act together. I think I have spirited and tough practices, I think is what I would be expecting on both sides of the ball from Kansas City. But the Chiefs, like I said, their defense I think will show up. But the Packers have a good defense as well, and I won't be surprised if they do come up with at least one turnover that puts them in an easy, position to score. So I think that over.
That's the Patriots, not the Packers.
Oh, Patriots! Don't forget all that. Then, they cover. They cover easily, right? Because they just played the Packers, Bill. So yes, I think they cover, and still, I'll take the over. And yeah, they cover. Yes, the Chiefs, and they'll manage to get at least 10 points over the Patriots.
Okay, Bo, Saturday evening, Broncos getting 5 from the Lions, over under 48.
I think I'm going to take the Lions. I don't know that they cover, though. So I take the Lions to win. I don't have them cover, but the over. I'll take the over.
Okay, Chiefs giving the Pats 9.5, over under is 37.
I'm going to go KC. I'm going to take the points and the over. Even though the Patriots do have a good defense, their offense is so inept that I don't think that it's really going to be a thing.
Okay, sticking with you, Bo, the Bears getting 3.5 from the Clowns, and the over-under is 37.5.
Yes, I'm going to take the Browns. I'll take them to cover that. This feels like an under game.
Okay. Let's see. Still you, Bo. The Jets getting 9 from the Fins, and the over-under is 39.
Yeah, this is another one where I'm going to take the the Jets defense is so good, though. I'm going to take the Dolphins to win. I'm going to go they don't cover. But 37, and I guess I'll take the over. I don't love that line, but
okay, Bill. Let's see. Bears 3.5 at the Clowns, over under 37.5.
Yeah, I think the Browns do manage to cover the 3.5. I think once again the number ends up being exactly 4, and the over under was 37
and a half.
I hate that half. God, this is probably gonna be a 37-point game. So because I think the hook ends up being spit out, I think it'll be a 37-point game. So I guess I am barely taking the under.
Okay. The Jets getting 9 from the Fins, Bill. Over under is 39.
I think the Dolphins win, but I don't think the Jets are going to lose by 10. So yeah, I'll take the Jets since they're getting. That's a big number. Whew. And then the over under was what again?
39.
Oh, that's probably right on the number too. I will take the over, very, very much not trusting or liking anything about that.
Okay, the Giants getting 7, playing the Saints, and the over-under is 37.5. Bill?
Boy, it's the 37.5 week. I think I will take the over, and I do think the Saints win, but that gritty, tough Giants team will manage to, deny them a cover. So you said that they were getting 7?
Yep.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the Giants aren't going to lose that game by 7. And they're playing that game where?
In New Orleans.
It is in New Orleans. Well, that makes it a little more likely, but I still think they'll gut out like a late field goal or something that'll deny them the cover.
Okay. Falcons getting 3. Giving 3 to the Panthers. And the over-under is 35, Bill.
Oh, I'll take the over, and I will take Atlanta. I think Atlanta is, I won't say hitting on all cylinders because that's not what they're doing, but but they're going to hit on enough cylinders to cover.
Okay. Well, where do we stop at? The Giants and
Yep.
Okay. The Giants +7 at the Saints, 37.5.
Yeah, so I got the Saints winning. I don't think they cover. I don't know if the Saints have covered anybody this year, but I'll take the over here. The Giants have moved the ball a little bit better, so I'll take the Saints not to cover though, and the over.
Okay. The Falcons giving the Panthers 3, and the over-under is 35.
Yeah, this one I'm with Bill here. I'll take the Falcons. I'll take the points and the over.
The Bucks getting 3.5 from the Packers, Bo, and the over-under is 41.5.
Yeah, with Green Bay being at home, I'm going to go with Green Bay to cover there. 41. Do we know which version of Baker is going to show up? Like, is he gonna throw to his own team? I guess I'll take the under. I'll take the under there.
And the Texans getting 2.5 from the Titans, and the over-under is 38. Bo?
Yeah, so this one I'm going to take the Titans, and just because I don't know that they get C.J. Stroud back. If they get Stroud back, then I think the Texans win. But without him, the Titans win. They cover, but it'll be the under.
Bill, Bucks getting 3.5 from the Packers. Over-under 35.
I will.
Me. Over-under is 41.5. Sorry.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, that's okay. Well, I will take the. You said 3.5.
Yeah, the Bucks are getting 3.5 from the Packers.
Right. I will take the Packers narrowly. I don't like it, but I'll take it barely. And 41.5. That's right on the number. Okay, I'll take the under barely. I think it's a 41-point game.
The Texans getting 2.5 from the Titans, and the over-under is 38. Bill?
So the Texans are getting points, right?
Yep.
And still goes Stroud as it sits.
Right. He hasn't practiced yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I wish this show took place on Thursday. Because if he didn't practice on Thursday, then I'd be 100% sure he's not going to play.
But then we'd be in the middle of the football game and we couldn't watch the Chargers.
Right. Good point. Okay. I'm just saying, like, it would be more different. I will still take the Texans, though. I just think they're just a more solid team, top to bottom. Both teams scare me a little bit, but when in doubt, I'll go with the team that I trust slightly more or distrust slightly less, really, to be more honest. And you said the line was 30 what?
8.
Oh, wow. They're good. Oof. Well, I would like to just push, but I don't think that's allowed. So in lieu of taking the push, I will say over.
Okay, let's go Sunday afternoon, Bill. 105. The 49ers giving the Cardinals 13.5. But the over-under is only 48.
I will take the under, and I will take. I will take the under, and I will take the Cardinals. 13.5 is just so many points.
Bo?
Yeah, this is one where I'm kind of torn because they still put 12 up on the Hawks, and the Hawks are a better team. So I'm going to take San Fran. I'm going to take them to cover. And then I'm still going to go with the over. They don't really have any injuries to speak of. They should probably beat on Arizona pretty good.
Okay. The Commanders getting 6.5 from the Rams, and the over-under is 49. Bo?
That's such a big number. I'm going to go with the Rams to win 6.5. I don't love that. I'm going to say they don't cover, and the under.
Okay. Let's see. Where did I stop with Bill? The 49. Okay. So Bo, the Cowboys getting 2 at the Bills, and the over-under is 50.5.
Yeah, so this one's tough because I'm taking the over no matter what, but Buffalo being favored is a little bit of a surprise, with the exception of the fact that it's December and it's the Cowboys, and so I trust none of that. But I'm gonna, I guess I'm gonna take the Cowboys to upset in Buffalo, which, man, that feels weird to say.
Okay, let's see. The Ravens giving 3.5 to the Jaguars, and the over-under is 43.5. Bo?
Sorry, which one?
The Ravens giving the Jags 3.5, and the over-under is 43.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens here, taking the points. The probably still the under though.
Okay. Bill, I think we left off at the Commanders or the Cowboys? Did you? Let's see. Well, we can do it. It doesn't matter. The Commanders getting 6.5.
Oh yeah, we did do that one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the Cowboys getting 2 from the Bills, and the over/under is 50.5.
I'll take the Cowboys, and because it's an outdoor game in November, I will actually take the under because they're playing in Buffalo, right?
Yep.
I'll take the under then.
Okay. The Ravens giving the Jags 3.5, and the over/under is 43.5.
I will take the Ravens in the over.
What about the points?
I said I'll take the Ravens in the over.
Okay.
I mean,
the Ravens in the over. Okay, yeah. Okay, Monday Night, Bill. The Eagles giving the Seahawks 4, and the over/under is 47.5.
I will take the under and the Eagles.
Oh, okay. Final thoughts, Bill.
Well, you heard Larry Doby mentioned, and I'm always glad to hear Larry Doby mentioned as well. I'm going to mention the other player who on the National League side, in that year, 1947, entered the league. Of course, that's Jackie Roosevelt Robinson. On this day in 1956, the Dodgers attempted to trade him for a pitching prospect named Dick Littlefeld and $35,000. Jackie decided he would instead rather retire as a Brooklyn Dodger, and did so. In fact, he decided that that's what he would do. So he decided to end his career rather than play for the Giants. And frankly, it was just a weird thing for them to try to do. I mean, obviously, you're trying to do whatever you can do to improve your team, and I get all that. The other thing I want to make mention of is on this day in the year 2020, Lewis Hamilton finished third in a season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to claim a record equaling 7 Formula One World Drivers Championships. That 124 points he earned put him above his teammate Valtteri Bottas. And so because of that, he won a 7th title. Lewis Hamilton, you know, while I wouldn't say he's maybe the Jackie Robinson of Formula One, he certainly is. Maybe Tiger Woods is a better example of Formula One. There have been only a handful of non-white Formula One drivers who have excelled at the top level. But this is a man who's earned over $35 million. In fact, I guess his salary for this year is over $35 million. So he's earned well over that in his career. Born in the United Kingdom, you know, to immigrant parents, and to have come from his background, you know, to have come from where he's from, to have done what he's done. I don't think we talk enough about what Lewis Hamilton has accomplished in a sport that generally has been less than, I won't say less than welcoming, maybe that's not the right term, but has been less than full of opportunities for non-white drivers. He was the youngest Formula One world champion when he won his first one. And I just think that, you know, when his career does come to an end, I think people will look back on what he's done. I mean, he's up there with Michael Schumacher, right? I mean, he's up there with the greats of the greats of the greats in the history of this, you know, not super inclusive sport. His father is a black man from Grenada, and his mother is, you know, a white British woman from Birmingham. He identifies as black. His parents separated when he was just 2, and he's been raised by his mother and her sisters and things like that. But he did later live with his father and stepmother and his half-brother, his half-brother Nicholas also is a professional race driver. And from the moment he got his first radio control car at age 5, this has been a passion for him. And like I said, to see his success, and, you know, to have his brother Nicholas be, you know, successful, who competes in the British Touring Car Championships, because he competes. This is what I think is really extraordinary. He competes despite the fact that he has cerebral palsy. This is something, I don't know if you've ever driven at super high speed or, you know, intentionally. The level of concentration and focus and mental toughness it takes to drive at those speeds at a high level is really quite impressive. And the fact that his brother has done it, though at, you know, something not below the Formula One level, but to do it well, and for, you know, he had 132 starts, best finish was 24th, but considering once again that he's doing this with cerebral palsy is something that deserves attention as well. But on this day in 2020, the 7th championship, which ties the all-time record for Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Really interesting. Always something new and different from Mr. Bill Carroll. Bo, Eagles, giving your Seahawks 4.
Yeah.
Over under is 47.5.
Yeah, this one's going to be the Eagles probably get this one done. They got Drew Lock starting. So I don't put a lot of stock in him getting the win there. And then I'm going to take the under. I think the defense will probably play better than it did over the last couple of weeks. But it's not going to be enough to get it done. Eagles end up winning. Probably end up closing the door on the Seahawks postseason aspirations.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Bo comes in with the Black Sox. Okay. Final thoughts there, Bo.
Yeah, so as we get close to the end of the year here, I get a lot of questions about people wanting to start podcasts in this next season, next year. And, I get asked a lot how you get started, stuff like that. So my best advice on that is experience is something you get just after you needed it. So just start. And it's going to be good that you're bad in the beginning. Nobody's going to see it anyway. So get all of your bad shows out of the way before you start getting people watching.
I hear you. But the most important thing you better tell them, Bo, is once they get started, it's hard as hell to stop.
That's true.
How long we been doing this, Bill?
A while. I mean, it's been a minute now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had as much grade when we started. But
that's not as much, no.
That's a different story altogether. But hey, guys, great night as always. As usual, we can't keep our mouths shut. Went over 3 hours, so But I always enjoy my Thursday nights, and it's an honor and a privilege to be with you guys and to share the time. Like I said, podcasting is addictive, especially when you're doing something that you love anyway. So
yes, indeed.
Have a great weekend, a great night. Watch tomorrow night's game, most important of all, it's the holidays, the holiday season. Please be safe, and I guess it's as old as the cliche is. Please don't drink and drive.
Right.
We would like to see you, or at least have you listen to our podcast next year. So have a great weekend, great holidays. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a good one.
Same to you, my friend. I will see you then.